From Grady Stadium in Atlanta, it's the final high school football game of the 2012 calendar year as the top junior classmen from across the state of Georgia have gathered in the Capitol for one last shot at a lasting impression to put upon college recruiters and head coaches going into their senior seasons. It's the AT&T Georgia Junior Bowl presented by RisingSeniors.com. And hello again, everybody. Thanks for joining us here on ESPN3 and the Play On High School Sports Network. Alongside my broadcast partner, Scott Janovitz, I'm Chris Mooneyham. Scotty, we've got two tremendously talented rosters here this afternoon. Last year in the NFL, as the regular season just ended up just yesterday, 19% of all NFL players hailed from the state of Georgia. So it's not broadcaster hyperbole to say that we could be seeing some potential NFL players on this field this afternoon. So two very talented, record-breaking in some cases squads, and we begin our game preview with the West All-Stars.
Yeah, you said it, Chris. Talent everywhere. The Western Stars, to be exact, will be led by head coach Chip Walker of Sandy Creek. An unbelievable resume. Over the last 4 years, he has 56 wins and 3 state titles. On the field, we'll focus on Cedartown running back Nick Chubb. He rushed for 2,721 yards, 38 touchdowns as a junior. It is the most rushing yards a junior back has ever had over a 10-game span. He's big, he's fast, he's tough to tackle. He's our spotlight player of the game.
On the other side for the East All-Stars, they're led by head coach Ed Dudley. Coach Dudley, a 21-year veteran of Georgia high school football. He's led Walton and Buford, a couple of other programs, but just this past year led Ware County to the state championship game, where ironically that night, the Gators fell to Deshaun Watson and the Gainesville Red Elephants, and Deshaun Watson is our feature player tonight for the East All-Stars. Watson is by all accounts one of the top dual-threat quarterbacks in the entire nation. He's already verbally committed to Clemson University, and oh, by the way, he's the passing yards leader all-time in Georgia high school football history, the all-purpose touchdown leader in Georgia football history, and already second in touchdown passes in Georgia career as well. He is some kind of player. Watch his feet tonight. He's tremendously athletic. With that, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have the starting lineups, the opening kickoff, and the play-by-play story. It's the AT&T Georgia Junior Bowl presented by RisingSeniors.com, and it's next on the Play On High School Sports Network and ESPN3.
Buy a DVD of this and many other high school sporting events. Go to playonsports.com/DVDs.
Back at Grady Stadium in what has turned out to be a tremendous weather day to end the 2012 calendar year. And Happy New Year to you and yours from all of ours here at the Play On High School Sports Network. Again, alongside Scott Janovitz, I'm Chris Mooneyham, and thanks for joining us on ESPN3. The officials sorting things out at midfield as we're about ready to get things underway. The West All-Stars will have the opening possession. Two highly talented rosters here this afternoon. And could it ever top last year? How many, what did we have, 15 players in last year's roster that are in the top 200 across the nation?
When we did this game last year, we talked about the unprecedented talent with guys like Carl Lawson, Robert Kimdichie,
Kamara, Reuben Foster.
They all had great games too. But this team, this year, both teams in fact, have unprecedented talent as well. I mean, Deshaun Watson, a record breaker as a junior, still has a year to play.
Damari Kitt.
Unheard of. Damari Kitt is as good a receiver as any we've seen in years. Of course, Nick Chubb, a record-breaking running back. So I think we have matched 2012 talent.
To me, that one seemed like a bit more of a lock, where you had 6, 7, 8 guys that were surefire, upper-tier FBS recruits. This one a lot more about potential You think I'm accurate in that? You're a recruiting guru. Am I accurate? Am I close?
We had I mean, if you count them, Carl Lawson's was a five-star talent at that point. Robert Kimdichie was, Reuben Foster, but Raekwon McMillan, the big-time middle linebacker, is considered as good or better than Reuben Foster. I'd agree that I think last year, like we said, was as good a year as we've ever seen in this state.
You know, I called it the greatest recruit.
It's hard to criticize this year, though.
Well, no, and that's not what we're doing. We're just trying to compare the two of them. And this one is about high-level potential. And a lot, just it seems like a tick higher as far as the emerging stars. Nick Chubb, for instance, is a prime example of that. The opening kickoff of the 2012 AT&T Georgia Junior Bowl, taken over the shoulder, inside the 5-yard line, cutting to the near side, is Evan Berry. And yes, he is one of the Berry brothers, his older brother. Where's his older brother? Is he a safety now or a corner for the Kansas City Chiefs? They move him around so much, but we'll figure that out later. And let's take a look at the starting lineups now offensively for the West Rising seniors. Cole Garvin, a 2-time state champion, will be the quarterback. There's Nick Chubb, 2,700 yards in just 10 games this year. And then Cook, Lay, and Ford. Damari Kitt, watch out for that young man. On the line, it's Edwards, Mathis, Marshall, Snaders, and Dickey. Very good offensive line.
Yeah, both Kitt and Chubb had sensational, we'll call it weekends of practice.
Sure. May have been the 2 stars for the, during the week in practice for the West All-Stars. And Garvin takes a snap under center. First play going deep. Looking to his teammate and caught over the shoulder, but was he in bounds? No, they'll say caught out of bounds. Garvin's pass is complete, but out of bounds. That's something we're accustomed to seeing. Cole Garvin. First the replay.
Of course, Garvin and Kitt play on the same teams. I believe that was to Kitt, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
They played together in high school, so that connection is one they are extremely accustomed to.
Garvin.
Thinking about Kitt is not only productive, Chris, but has that body for the next level and potentially for the NFL. A big physical kid. Good eye-hand coordination. Comes down with the ball, as you saw there, more times than not.
Great body control as well. And then the toss back to the running back. Young man we've been looking forward to seeing for quite some time. A flag down on the play, so we'll see if this one counts. But the opening carry the ball game for Nick Chubb at 5'11", 208. The man from Cedartown High School, as we mentioned, 27-21. His yardage on the ground in just 10 games so far during the Georgia regular season. 38 touchdowns this season as well. Keith Hammond, our man in the white hat tonight. You saw him just a moment ago trying to sort out the flag on the play.
You were talking about developing talent, kids that are emerging at this point, as so many big-time recruits do after their junior seasons and on into their senior seasons. It's crazy, though, that he's considered that, and he is. But after rushing for 2,700 yards or more, then it's shocking that he's not more of a household name, especially when you consider how big and physical he is.
His sophomore year, he went for 1,500 yards and 26 touchdowns, but he played at Cedartown. They didn't have a great year 2 years ago, and so he flew a little bit under the radar. Offers from Tennessee, Ohio State, and Purdue, and that list will grow exponentially.
Yeah, shocked to see that he does not yet have a Bulldog offer.
Yeah, absolutely. Pressure will flush Garvin. He'll fire, and that one bobbled and incomplete. The intended receiver on that one, Derek Herring. Herring, a Brooks County product, who had just a shade under 1,000 yards receiving this year. Let's get back to Garvin, though. He's a 2-time state champion. Cole Garvin, the quarterback, number 13 at 6'1", 195. Here's the replay, and you see he has the mobility when he's flushed out of the pocket. Went for 27-30 through the air this year, 21 touchdowns. And he gained the interest of Duke University during practice this week.
He's one of those guys still waiting on the bigger offers. Doesn't have that prototypical size, but you said it, he's a dual threat guy.
And you see his arm strength. That's the big thing for Cole Garvin, is his tremendous arm strength, and pretty accurate as well. He hits Terry Guger there on the reception.
Yeah, you said it, very accurate. And had some good players as well to spread the ball to.
That's right.
2 very good running backs, of course, Kitt out wide. Wilson, another good receiver for them.
And both of the running backs he has at Sandy Creek, as they're now a 3-time champion in the last, 4 years. They've won back-to-back titles, and both of their big-time running backs are just sophomores. You gotta be kidding me. Yeah. They're gonna have all of their top players coming back, well, -1. So now on a 4th down play,
course,
they'll kick it away.
Get a look at Chris Williams, too, the big-time defensive tackle. As soon as the West takes the field as a defense, he's a monster as well. Sandy Creek could easily be back in the Dome again next year.
Fair catch made around the 35-yard line, and the offensive starters for the East squad coming up here in just a moment. We'll get our first look at Deshaun Watson, one of the most electrifying players, quite simply, in the United States. Montre Merritt, his fullback, Stanley Williams, the Georgia Bulldog commit at tailback, and then Kaysen Green and Richard, your other skill players. On the line, a good one, Harris, Prescott, Foster, Edwards, and Jenkins. They got some beef on the offensive line on this side.
I was going to say, Chris, we don't like to be too hyperbolic, but you could make an argument Watson is among the greatest players in Georgia football history.
And look at this start. Oh, incomplete. Had his man wide, and I mean wide open. Corey Kill, the South Gwinnett Comet, unable to bring that one in. He's got tremendous footwork, and you're the analyst, you're the recruiting guy, but as we get to the replay, I imagine we'll have a replay on this one. You see the footwork of Watson. That's the key in my mind.
Now, it wasn't the toughest throw because, like you said, his guy had about 15 yards on the defender, but right there you see what he does so well, and that is throw on the run. Obviously, he is a good passer in the pocket as well, but exceptionally developed for his age at getting outside the pocket, delivering accurate passes while on the move.
And his strength is the intermediate and intermediate deep route. It's not even the deep ball, which you saw just a moment ago. Really, his strength is the short passing game. That's what they do at Gainesville. Handoff to the running back, first man through. And a modest carry there by Stanley Williams. Now time to take a look at the defense for the West All-Stars, and it's a good one. And Yanwu, Williams, Pittman, and Williams on the line. There's Chris Williams, you see, number 6 from Sandy Creek. And then Young, Jackson, Cameron Jackson is some kind of player, Gates, and then in the secondary, Haley, Hackett, Barry, and Austin.
Austin, an offensive star during his high school junior campaign. Both Austin twins were, in
That's what I was about to say, yeah.
They are, all week have been playing corner, and they are big-time athletes and big-time hitters for smaller kids.
We got a couple of sets of brothers in this All-Star game here today. The Austin brothers, the Barry brothers.
Twins. You got to think if you have a twin, you're going to go to the same school together, right?
Well, they're and all four being recruited by the same schools. Another punt coming up here.
Of course, we had the Blaylocks a couple years ago.
Right.
Both playing in Lexington.
They are
Wildcats.
Yeah.
That's a
Walton High School,
Kentucky. Yeah.
Walton, right? Yeah.
They were vicious high school football players, and by vicious, I mean as hard-hitting safeties as I've seen in high school in a long, long time.
Now, that was a great Walton team. Boy, were they something.
Made it to the Dome, state title contender, lost to one of the better teams this state's seen in a while, and that 2011 Grayson Rams team.
Which, of course, was led by Robert Kimdichie.
The junior version. They had stars everywhere, and still did this year, right? I mean, they were certainly upset in the playoffs.
Walton, you mean?
No,
or
I'm
Grayson. Yeah. Well, speaking of Walton as well, DJ Smith in this ball game. We'll get a look at him a little bit later. And now one of your favorites, Scotty Brooks Barden, in at quarterback. There you see him on your screen, number 11, the Cartersville product. The lefty, one of the most accurate passers in our state. And he finds a man out in the flat, making 2-3 good athletic moves and just shy of the 40-yard line.
We can tell you he's accurate, or you can just trust the stats. 38 touchdowns and 0 interceptions through 12 games.
Right.
That's unbelievable.
I was there for his first interception, and the crowd was literally just amazed. It was this quiet buzz that just went over the crowd when he threw that first interception against Thompson.
And they won that game
in the state quarterfinals. Yeah, absolutely. Barden, lefty. Coach's kid, fires and overshoots his wide receiver. Starting lineup for the defensive players, or for the East All-Stars defensively. Weren't able to get to him a moment ago, so let's give these young men their credit. Bryson Allen Williams, a big-time player. And then Baker and Shaw and Sawyer to fill out the line. And there is Raekwon McMillan. We'll talk a lot about him. Dukes and Tomlin in the middle as well, with Webster, Lewis, McDonald, and Nick Glass in the secondary.
Dukes and McMillan both had particularly good practices over the weekend. There's stars everywhere.
Deep ball. Got his man inside the 45-yard line. Look at that tremendous move. cutting back to the middle of the field and close to the 35-yard line. On the reception, number 83, Milan. No, pardon me.
I believe that was Terry Ford.
Thank you, sir. TL Ford, that's right.
And that
a late addition.
Another quarterback to receiver connection.
Yep.
Played for the same high school. Not surprising there. You're comfortable
Sure.
with each other.
And you notice with Barden in the ball game, by the way, offensively they changed their scheme. Speaking of the West All-Stars. They go more to Cartersville offense, and they put Barden in the shotgun, as opposed to on the opening drive when Cole was in the ball game. Sandy Creek and Chip Walker ran their offense.
Yeah, and usually in a game like this, the defense has the advantage.
Sure.
For a lot of reasons.
Yeah, especially early.
Terminology's one, though. If you can, though, like they are, run an offense you're familiar with, that certainly evens the playing field a bit.
Keith Hammond says offense, or offsides, pardon me, on the defense. Once we go back out to the wide shot, I will implore you viewers out there to take a look at number 42 on defense, the middle linebacker. He's the kid that looks bigger and stronger and faster than most people. There he is. Nearly intercepted and incomplete. That's Raekwon Williams, number 42 that I'm speaking of. There he is, right there on your screen. Williams, so much that we could say. About Raekwon, right? I mean, you look at the numbers and they're absolutely staggering. The kid can go anywhere he wants. The Liberty County High School product. McMillan with offers from Alabama, Florida State, Georgia, Florida, Miami.
Yeah,
you put a big time program. Yeah. Completion inside the 35-yard line, going to be shy of the first down, and it looks like we got another punt attempt coming up. Scotty, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. What were you going to say there?
I was saying, you basically said it. The kid can go anywhere he wants. Ohio State, the early leader there. Clemson, number 2. And that is a developing story. Is in the class of what is 2014, both those teams, Ohio State and Clemson, are doing a particularly good job recruiting this state, especially Ohio State. We're going to talk about it a little more later, but about 15 kids considering Ohio State or list them prominently among their leaders.
This is a 4th down play. Barden scrambling for the first down mark, and he's going to be awfully close. Brooks has got some good mobility.
Looks like he got enough.
He's certainly close, yes. The officials will go ahead and say that he did convert the first down. Another look.
Heads up play here. No open receiver. You don't force it. Step up in the pocket. He had a nice little lane there to pick up what was about 8 or 9 yards. A good run there.
Yeah.
Tell you, if you watched NFL football at all this year, you had to have been impressed with the 3 rookie quarterbacks. And the one thing that links them all together is intelligence. All very smart. And both Barden and Watson, I think, could list that prominently among their best attributes.
This play turns into a good gain for Trayvon Polk. However, the Milton High School products run may be brought back because of what I believe will be a hold in the backfield. Somebody got beat up the middle there on the offensive line and resulted in a hold.
Polk, one of many impressive looking running backs in this game today.
One of 2 at Milton. Mr. Hammond. And it is indeed a hold. And we've got a shot of it.
Yeah. Tackled him there.
Yep.
And one of those holds that certainly mattered. Defender was in position to make a play on that.
So a long first down play coming up now, as the West All-Stars have been backed up to about their own, or rather the East 38. Barden going to throw the little slip screen. Got a catch. A couple of good moves. Still on his feet, looking for the 30-yard line and the out-of-bounds mark, and eventually wrestled out of bounds on the play with the reception is Cameron Jackson from Creekside High School. Young man who's been starting since he was a freshman.
One of 4 from Creekside in this game. Of course, you have the Berry twins, as well as Ed Kearney, who will play linebacker. He actually fumbled on that play, Chris. Picked up an extra 4 yards as a result, but rather probably not put the ball on the ground there.
That was a fortuitous bounce, to say the least. So Barden again may have drawn another offsides and did. Boy, Brooks really bobbing his head. That's that NFL
That was
side in me.
That was Bryson Allen Williams who jumped off sides there. Another really good-looking player. He's got offers from just about everyone. Florida, Penn State, South Carolina, Tennessee, UCLA.
As you see Brooks Barden on your screen, want to finish up the numbers for Brooks, the lefty. 28-72 through the air this year, 36 touchdowns, and the 4 interceptions. Didn't throw his first, as we mentioned earlier, until the state quarterfinals. Ended up with 4 in his final 2 ball games, but of course the talent level, the competition really ratcheted up once they got into the quarterfinals.
Well, correct me if I'm
Taking a
wrong.
look at this one.
They lost to Buford, I believe, in the
Right.
semis, and that Buford defense was about as good as we saw this year. I think they gave up something like 7 points per game over 15 games, which is unbelievable.
Tough to take down the Buford machine. 4 wide receivers here for Barden. Lefty fires right across the middle, and he's got a reception inside the 5-yard line.
Good timing and pace on that pass.
Well, this offense really starting to click here as he hits Googer, the Woodward Academy product, who does just about everything for Woodward. First time a team has had 1st and goal inside this ball game. Googer with the wide receiver at 6'4", 204.
I was going to say great size, and
Yeah.
as a result, he's got a bunch of offers as well. South Carolina in there, Notre Dame, Georgia Tech.
And he's got different reasons for all of those schools, by the way. Look at this. Touchdown. Great play call, and might I add, about the 4th time they called it on that drive as Brooks Barden hits Cameron Jackson. Jackson at 5'11", 175. Again, the Creekside product has the opening touchdown of the Junior Bowl.
Right, you see that pass and you don't think much of it because it was just a quick hitch pattern, but it requires perfect timing, right, and good rhythm with your receiver. He looks right to look off the defense and finds his receiver open, and then obviously a great run after the catch there for the Creekside talent.
Snap ball down the extra point is up, and it is good. A.J. Wells.
Extremely, sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead. Wells has got tremendous numbers. I'm sure that's what you're...
Well, I was going to say an extremely impressive offensive drive when you consider we are in an all-star game with a bunch of players who, of course, are playing together for the first time. Wouldn't expect to see such a clean, efficient offensive drive.
Wells finishes off that efficient drive with the extra point, and now he's done a lot of that this year. 43 out of 45 during the regular season. 5 out of 6 on field goals. Averages 40 on a punt, per punt in 2012. And get this number. This guy in his career, talking about Wells, the kicker, because let's not forget about them. They're looking for scholarship offers as well. This guy in 2 years of kicking, 93 of 97.
That's not bad.
That's not too bad.
We've had some good kickers in this state.
Well, yeah.
Adam Griffith, I remember. Boy, that kid was unbelievable for Calhoun. Had like four field goals, I think, in the state title game to beat Buford. First team to beat Buford in 5 years.
Well, let's see how long it is before you bring up Hardin down at Florida.
Well, Griffith went to Alabama.
Okay, and then?
And then
who else do you think
the
of?
Marist talent. Well,
okay.
Well, we called a particular Hardin game, and
Austin?
He was sensational, right? Yeah, Austin Hardin.
Austin
What did he kick? Something like 61-yarder?
Yeah, and then they called it back on the penalty. It would have been a school record, but they were battling Dunwoody in that ball game. Needed the win to secure a number 2 seed in the playoffs, I think. And instead of giving him the record, the coach said, "You know what, son? I'm sorry. I'm going to have to take this record away from you because the penalty will give us a first down." And well, they did get the first down. They went on to win the ball game on that ensuing drive, and he lost the school record. But
I think you can also search him on YouTube.
Hardin?
Here we see the kick return. Yeah, 57-yard winning kick, I believe he has.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Game winning, I should say. He went on to the Under Armour All-American game that year. Struggled a bit because I think, a kicker wants that holder to either be his guy or someone he's worked with a lot. And these all-star scenarios are sometimes kids excel in them, and other times, whether the kid's good or not moving forward, they struggle.
Deshaun wanted to get rid of that one. Looked like he didn't want to run with it. That's one good thing about Deshaun. He is not this, and I don't mean this to be negative, towards other dual threat quarterbacks across the nation and across the state, but so often we see so many of them that are so quick to tuck the ball in, Scotty, and take off. That's always been the bag, if you will, on some dual threat quarterbacks. Deshaun, not that kid. He loves to throw the football.
Yeah, unbelievable patience, too, for a kid who's just a junior, just finished his junior year. There you see accuracy on what you called his specialty, the short to intermediate route. What I love about Deshaun Watson is how much he's improved. And it's hard to say someone improves when he set records for an entire season, right? I mean, most prolific passer we've ever seen in this state, but he did. From game 1 to game 15, he improved tremendously. He was a turnover machine early on in the season. Even when he was himself scoring 5 and 6 touchdowns a game, he was also throwing 3 and 4 interceptions. And by the end of the season, he was still scoring 5, 6 touchdowns a game, but dramatically cut into his turnovers and improved tremendously.
Well, his statistics are quite staggering. I mentioned it. Looks like they are indeed going to punt the football away, but there he is, number 1. Might be the last time we have the opportunity to see him. Well, they may be sending him back out on 4th down. Let me give you these stats really quick because they're just staggering. He's the all-time passing leader in Georgia high school football history. Think about that now. He's just a junior. He's the all-purpose touchdown leader in Georgia high school football history. And a 4th down play coming up here, by the way, on 4th and 1. Second all-time in touchdown passes, handoff, and a 1st down. So the drive will continue as Stanley Williams, the George Walton Academy product, and a man who we mentioned a moment ago is a verbal to the University of Georgia, gets the 1st down.
One of those soft verbals, if you will. Still looking around and admits it himself. We've got only 4 committed players in this game, and you could argue that 3 of the 4 are looking around or what we would call soft verbals.
Stanley in the backfield still. Fake to him. He finished with just under 2,000 yards rushing the football this year, and a completion out to Corey Kill, the South Gwinnett product.
Quickly, Chris, 4,000 passing yards and 50 touchdowns for Watson this year. 1,400 rushing yards and another 24 rushing touchdowns. So he scored 74 touchdowns this year,
which
or contributed to.
Which is among the all-time highs as well, yeah.
And had 5,040 yards, or 400 yards.
His touchdown passes this year, the 50, second all-time in single-season state history. Well, last year, he threw, let's see, let me look at the number here, 41 touchdown passes. That's 5th all-time. So you see the numbers for this kid are just absolutely staggering. As a sophomore now, he threw for nearly 4,400 yards.
Now, Clemson is trying with all their might to keep him as a commitment because he is currently committed there, although he calls himself 85% committed, which I don't know if that's even possible.
Deep ball. Got a man down there. Had a little bit of a push-off, a little bit of hand fighting going on down there. No call, but an incompletion, so it won't really matter.
Despite being committed to Clemson, he still wants to visit Ohio State, Oregon, Arizona, and FSU. So I'd say a lot of work left for the Tigers. I'd be shocked if Georgia doesn't enter into the picture. They had him at camp, and here you see the long ball. He might have thrown this a little short, but gave his receiver a chance to come down with it. And you said it, there was a little push off there by the receiver, but probably should have caught that ball.
Well, I'll tell you what I love, too, about the teams that he's listed on his sheet as far as interest goes. He fits into all of those offenses. That's the key for him, is that he fits into every one of those offensive schemes. 50-yard line, 45-yard line, a very good carry to continue the drive for Josh Brown, one of our favorites. We've seen him many times, you and I have, in calling high school football in this state, the Brookwood product.
Watson's coach doesn't seem to think Georgia feels like he fits into their offense. I think that's crazy. I think he's exactly what Georgia needs. Of course, Georgia runs more of a pro-style offense, but certainly Watson is capable of doing it all. Can fit into that offense, but he's also a guy when the play breaks down who is at his best and makes big-time plays, and I don't know why anyone wouldn't want that.
Got another completion. This looks like Corey Kill once again, just shy of the 30-yard line. Nope, check that. They'll spot him right at the 30-yard line. Another 1st down, and now we're starting to see the offenses for both sides putting things together.
Quickly, before we end our Watson Love Fest, I think the most impressive thing about him this year is not that he put up those statistics. Obviously, they're amazing, but he did it during a state title run. To put up those statistics and lead your team to a 5A state title in one of the most competitive states for football in the country is, I think, makes you or takes you to another level.
Close to another first down around the 20-yard line after this completion. Okay, one more, then we'll end the Love Fest. To show how he does such a good job of checking down to multiple wide receivers, Deshaun had 7 wide receivers this year. 7 men on the Gainesville Red Elephant squad had over 30 catches in 2012. He's under center this time. He's got 2 backs. Handoff, I believe that's Williams. And he may have slipped down around the 19-yard line. Looks like about a yard, maybe a yard and a half gain.
He's part of what is almost a quarterback renaissance, if you will. I mean, what you see going on in the NFL now, obviously there's good quarterbacks all over college football. I think one of the reasons you see so many young quarterbacks in the NFL have success is because at the high school level, in a state like Georgia that used to be triple option dominated offenses,
right?
You see guys like Watson that are required and asked to do so much. And you said it, he's spreading the ball around to 7 different guys, and that develops the quarterback at a much younger age than ever before.
Incomplete. His intended receiver was Keel again. Corey would have been looking for his 3rd or 4th catch. I may have lost count there, but a good job defensively of staying in front and forcing the wide receiver out of position, Grant Haley from the Lovett School. Haley, a future Florida Gator product, most likely. Of course, again, we got a long way to go as far as that goes, but he's verbal to Florida, is that right?
Well, he's not verbal. He's got the Gator offer, and of course.
You think it's solid, and tell everyone why.
Well, I think, you have a Gator offer, which is as good as any, right? And
okay.
Of course, you got Muschamp to Muschamp. His coach is Will Muschamp's brother. You got to think he'll help his younger brother Will get what is a really good-looking defensive back prospect.
Now, see, and he is the reason for this ball game, and what is such a great cause put together by Joe Burns, Izell Reese, and the RisingSeniors.com crew. This is not just for guys like Damare Kitt and Deshaun Watson and Raekwon McMillan. This is a game also for people like Nick Chubb, who is just now starting to get the attention he deserves, or Grant Haley, or gentlemen like that who need this attention to try to expand their coverage a little bit, try to expand their options and the possibility of going to more than just one school or an FCS school or something like that. Because, boy, if you can get a scholarship to play college football, save your family $30,000.
Yeah, I'll give you another example. Andrew Williams, a defensive end who played for Eagles Landing Christian Academy, had a tremendous season, 21.5 sacks in 9 games. But he did it at the 1A level. And so no matter how good a season you have, people are going to wonder, can you do it against elite talent? And so games like this allow you the opportunity. And he's a guy who has been impressive during all the practices. And so he, I think, in a big way has proven things he couldn't prove during the regular season.
Oh, a tremendous catch made down inside the 10-yard line. They'll spot him officially at the 7, and I believe that is Mr. Brown again. Yes, it is. In fact, Josh Brown, and Josh has shown that penchant for being able to make the catch out of the backfield during the regular season.
You go,
Zach Moon.
Nice little play action fake and a nice delivery on that ball over the sagging linebacker. And you said it, a good catch by Brown. Boy, does that program produce elite running backs.
You're not kidding. Nick Tompkins before him.
Jamal Cole, pretty good one.
Andre Sims, who went to Michigan State, and we've got ourselves the 2nd touchdown of the ball game, and it is none other than Josh Brown on the 7-yard touchdown reception from Deshaun Watson. We're an extra point away from a tie ball game.
Another great pass, that time required a little bit more pace on the football, delivered accurately, and again he shows his ability to get outside the pocket and throw on the run.
Extra point attempt, snap down, kick up, and it is good. So Keel knocks home the extra point.
So both offenses have been impressive here today, and again, a huge testament, in my opinion, to quarterback play. Obviously, they're the leaders of the offense here. You see another view of that touchdown pass, and from that one, you see just how much pace he put on that ball. Got it there quickly, giving his pass catcher, his teammate, an opportunity to pick up yards after the catch and ultimately score a touchdown. But you don't score in an all-star game without quality quarterbacks unless you just let your running backs take over. We haven't seen much from the running backs, though, today, in both quarterbacks, Barden and Watson, the two we expected to impress. Even though Barden didn't start, I think we knew he'd come in here and impress because of what he did all year. And both have led their teams to impressive scoring.
Well, and I'll tell you another thing. I think that something that's really special about this All-Star game is the fact that it's in-state. And this is no knock on the other All-Star games from across the country, but a lot of them are nationally based. I think what makes this one so special, and another reason we're seeing the teams be successful here early, to play into your previous point, is that a lot of these coaches, these coaching staffs, they know each other. The East coaching staff, a lot of these guys, they know each other. It's Ed Dudley. He's also brought Sean Campbell with him, his linebacking coach and assistant head coach from Ware County, Brian Lamar from Tucker in his first season. Very successful, 10-3. How about the job he did?
Something like 12 coaches, 11 head coaches, something like that.
Yeah, I believe that's the number, yeah.
The coaching here is tremendous. Another huge benefit to having games like this is it's rare that a cornerback is going to have a defensive back coach that is actually a head coach elsewhere. Right. And that's what you've got here. Every position group is being instructed and getting lessons from guys who are head coach program leaders elsewhere. And so that's a huge, huge, huge benefit.
You see Chip Walker on your screen there. Coach Walker's got Brett Garvin, his defensive coordinator, with him this afternoon. Charles Truitt, who's at Monroe. They had a great year this year. Frank Barden, the head coach of Cartersville, who won a state championship back in '99. Grant Chestnut from Central Carrollton. Rush Propst, who, of course,
he doesn't know how to win football games at all, does he?
Not at all. Of course, he's famous for the, what was it, Two-A-Days on MTV? Look at this play. Kit gonna throw the football, and he floats one up there dangerously where the defenders are coming down underneath it and cannot quite come away with a turnover.
He almost picked off by 3 guys, but yeah, he was a part of that Two-A-Days show. Of course, it captured he and his Alabama Hoover team, and that team, I think, during his reign won how many state titles? 5, 6. Here you see they attempt a little trickery, which is not a bad idea in an all-star game where you know the defenses aren't probably quite as disciplined. Did not work there, though.
Could be taking a look at the final play of the first quarter at 17.7. Toss back to the running back. New quarterback and a new running back into the ball game here. Charles Stafford from Monroe, who had a tremendous season this year, leading his team out to, what, a 10? I forget exactly what record they started. Yeah.
They started 10-0, 11-0, somewhere around there.
We'll get into the statistics on Charles Stafford, the new running back, the new quarterback, and our new running back when we come back. We've got a 7-7 ball game between East and West in the AT&T Georgia Junior Bowl, the 2012 edition, presented by RisingSeniors.com, and you're seeing it live right here on the Play On High School Sports Network and ESPN3.
That's good stuff. All right, perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. We're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the Play On School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP.
One match away from immortality.
This is a total team effort.
We're gonna come at you.
One shot at this.
Back at Grady. We just missed the start of the second quarter, the first play, which resulted in an incompletion from Charles Stafford. And we'll see a turnover here. Well, a turnover. I mean a turnover on downs as far as we'll see a punt here. West's going to give it back to the East All-Stars.
Get a look at some of those offensive linemen from the West. Big kids. Jermaine Abram.
Yeah.
Warner Robbins. It's got a college-ready body, if you will. They grow
most
them
of these
bigger.
guys do.
Yeah, they grow them bigger these days, Chris.
Most of these guys do. Not a bad kick. Bottom fell out of it, and it's fair caught down around the 40-yard line. So a good kick there by A.J. Wells, a young man we were bragging on a moment ago, who's been a starter since a freshman. Two-time preseason AJC All-State. Now that's a big-time stat for that punter. Atlanta Journal-Constitution, two-time preseason All-State. Drops a good one in there, and so the East All-Stars will start just outside the 40-yard line.
Looks like we got another new quarterback, Chris.
Boy, oh boy. They're churning them out like Iwo Jima makes cars. Update the roster. Snap, fire, and a completion. Let's see, who have we got? We're about 1.5 miles away up here in the press box.
I'm going to say that's
so it's
Tyler Harris.
Is it Tyler Harris?
I believe so.
Well, a guy you and I also know a lot about.
Saw him in the summer along with Brooks Barton. I believe that's when we both realized those two guys were stars in the making, if not already stars.
Southeastern 7-on-7 in Dalton, passing camp.
That was those camps in general are great, but that one in particular was awesome. A great venue, and boy, did those two put on a show.
They sure did. What did they led their teams to the semifinals? Didn't both teams finish in the semifinals, I believe?
Yes.
I
At
think,
least. I don't.
yeah.
Did one might have moved on to the finals.
Yeah, maybe Cartersville. I
think Barton and
I digress. Yeah, but Tyler at 6'3", 212, the new quarterback now for the East All-Stars, a Pierce County High School product. Went for just over 2,500 yards passing the football this year, 29 touchdowns, and he was able to punch 3 in via the feet.
Yeah, and it might have been a 5-yard completion, but you saw his arm strength on that first throw of the game. Just a really good looking prospect to that position, and it's another developing theme in this state is quarterback play. Not used to having tremendous quarterbacks, but over the last 3 or 4 years, this state has become among the best at producing signal callers, and it's not going to change this year. Of course, the 2013 class was exceptional, right? Bryce Ramsey heading to Georgia, right. Eddie Prince Jr., but this class is every bit as good with Watson and Barden and Tyler Harris and Cole Garvin and Elijah Staley.
And it really started to shift, and you know me, I'm a historian. You and I, our strengths in working together, and we've been working together for years now. You're the recruiting guy, you're the analyst, you're the you're the measurable guy, and I'm a bit of a history guy. And you know, we started to see that switch around the turn of the century, really. If you go and look back at the Georgia high school history books, Buck Bellew, for years and years, was the all-time passing yardage leader in Georgia high school football history. But now, every young man that has passed him, it's unbelievable. Buck is now somewhere around 20 or 21, and every one of the guys ahead of him, save 1 or 2, are from the 2000s.
Right.
So and it starts around 2000, 2001. But you're right. Your point is accurate. It really exploded. Those numbers really start to, or the graduation years of those players really start to gravitate around 2005 and 6 and 7 and 8 and so on.
And I'll tell you, I have a working theory, and it's this: that with the spread offense really took hold in college football, right? And to the point where a large majority of college offenses run that spread, and it caught on in the high school game as well, especially in this state. A lot of schools moved from traditionally run-oriented offenses to spread offenses, and they asked their quarterbacks to do a lot more, and you see a lot of them have much more success when they move to college now as a result.
Trying a little bit of trickery there, as Harris faked to the running back Brown and then faked to the wide receiver coming near side of your screen. Let's take another look at it. But you see the good job by Harris and his big body staying away from the defender and the ability to get rid of the pass as he was being pressured by the Lovejoy High School product, Randy Anyunwu.
That's gonna be blocked.
And it will be. Ball loose. Official blows the whistle there. What's this call going to be? You'd think it'd be a dead ball foul, but I did not hear the whistle before contact was made. So be interesting.
Say this, number 90 got in there awfully fast.
That's Williams. False start. Well, he just called a false start on the defense, so legal procedure, I guess, is what we'll call it. And that will give the East All-Stars an automatic first down.
But going back to what we were saying, you just see so many more pass-oriented offenses in high school football. Also, I think the specialization of athletes. Kids don't play 4 sports anymore, right? They focus on football. And with
loose ball. Fumble on the play. And it looks like a man in gray has fallen on top of it. Maybe Justin Jones from South Cobb, and it is. Justin Jones, the big defensive tackle, 6'3", 260, a South Cobb Eagle, who had 63 tackles in 2012. He was second in tackles in the region, and twice a Cobb County Defensive Player of the Week.
And here you see just a miscommunication, or I should say a mistake right there between quarterback, running back. Our first big mistake that stood in this game. Not surprising to see it. And there you see big Raekwon McMillan. Yeah, I'm sorry, Justin Jones. They look a little similar.
Sure.
Both
big
huge.
body guys, yeah. Well, I talked to both coaches down on the field before kickoff this afternoon, and to a man, they both said that the key would be turnovers. They, you know, coaches will always go through a checklist of details and important factors in a ball game such as this, but the only one both of them mentioned was turnovers.
Well, you expect turnovers in an all-star setting when players just aren't used to playing together, not always on the same page.
Vanilla offenses for the most part, vanilla defenses as well. No exotic blitz schemes or anything of that nature. Handoff, spin move that goes for naught.
That could have been a false start.
Adam Choice on the carry there. Our first look at Adam Choice. Been looking forward to seeing that young man. He's got some pretty good numbers. Number 4 there on your screen throughout the season. I haven't had the opportunity to see him over the last couple of years, Scotty.
Of course, of Thomas County Central fame. Played a lot of quarterback for that team.
Sure.
A guy who can do it all, but another position that is loaded this year in the state of Georgia.
Adam went for 1656 in 2012 and then 1604 as a sophomore. 19 scores last year as a sophomore. Firing and caught. Is that Garvin back into the ball game? Yes, it is. Cole Garvin hits Damare Kitt, something that happened a lot in 2012.
Yeah, and you could tell they play together. Great timing on that ball. Actually got rid of it before his receiver made his cut to the sideline, and by the time he turned around, the ball was already there.
Boy, Garvin has got such a fluid delivery, doesn't he?
Yeah, and that's exactly what you want out of a college quarterback.
Yeah, big, strong kid with a strong arm. He's built low to the ground, but powerful legs, able to move around, has pretty good mobility. Cole listed at 6'1", 195. Handoff. Immediately, Choice is hit in the backfield, tries to spin out of the initial tackle, and is met by 2 other defenders right up the middle, one of which is Tevin Waller.
And Kendall Baker, big-time defensive tackle out of Marist, did a great job blowing that one up. I believe he's one of those kids who, I don't want to call him a late bloomer, but sort of late on to the recruiting scene, and he's got an impressive list of offers all of a sudden. FSU, Tennessee, Vanderbilt.
Elijah Shaw in there on the tackle as well, the Tucker High product in the interior.
Of course, Marist had a nice season.
Sure they did. Garvin, calm, fires, has his wide receiver inside the 30, now inside the 25-yard line. Really slick pitch and catch to Derek Herring. Second catch of the afternoon for Herring. He's a good-looking little player.
Yeah, he and Malcolm Parrish, who played quarterback for that team, not going to play quarterback at the next level, but together they were about as prolific a duo as there was in the state this year. And that Brooks County team, another one that had a sensational season.
Whom we haven't seen tonight, by the way, Malcolm Parrish. He's here. He's a junior as well. He threw for over 3,000 yards this year.
And he's not a quarterback.
And he's not a quarterback. Boy, you're right. That's a great example of the skill in this state. Joyce gets the handoff and slips there. Boy, Adam, off to a little bit of a tough start here, early going in his appearance in this All-Star game as we near the 7.5-minute mark. Second quarter from Grady Stadium in Atlanta.
Well, we haven't really seen a running back do much yet. And again, it's a loaded position between Chubb and Stanley Williams and Choice and Miles Autry, whom we won't see today. But boy, is he explosive. The Norcross running back who led his Blue Devils in part. And there were some other guys who had a say in that. Lorenzo Carter's here, the defensive end. He was obviously big for that team. And Kamara, the big-time senior running back. But Autry's hurt, but he is sensational.
Garvin to the end zone, the corner. It's Kit looking for a one-hand grab, and it's incomplete. Well, you said it at the outset here tonight. This is not the bowl game this year for running backs that it was last year. Last year we had Kamara and Tyron Jones and Travis Custis, and who am I forgetting?
I was going to say real quick, Chris. I was going to. Well, I'm focused on this play because it's a great job by Kit to position his body there. He sort of led the DB away from that ball and then made a play on it, giving himself a little bit more space there. Almost came up with a great catch.
This bowl game this year more about the quarterbacks, the wide receivers, maybe the linebackers. Last year was so loaded with running backs. Man in motion. Garvin fakes the toss, comes back to the near side. That ball tipped at the line of scrimmage, and Kit can't corral it.
And that's one of the things this state does so well, is produce running backs. That and defensive linemen. I mean, it seems like every year Georgia's.
One thing that hasn't changed with the emergence of the passing game in the state.
Still a ton of good running backs, and a lot of guys, like we've seen today, play quarterback only to become running backs at the next level. But Adam Choice is going to be another good one. His brother, pretty good one, playing in the NFL right now.
Yeah, a little bit.
Choice.
Yeah. First field goal opportunity for either team. Ball will be spotted at the 30. So a 40-yard field goal attempt. That's a line driver pulling to the left, and no good.
By the way, it's worth noting
A.J. Wells pulls that one off to the left.
Adam's coach at TCC says he's better than his older brother.
I'm not touching that one. We stayed tied at 7. Tashard was some kind of player. Speaking of TCC, you know, that's where Joe Burns, the head man here at RisingSeniors.com, played his high school football. What was he, a 2-time?
I think 3-time.
Player of the year in the state? Is that unbelievable? I mean, is that even...
And a 3-time state champion.
Yeah, that is so rare in this state. But now the East All-Stars back onto offense. And again, we'll get another look at Tyler Harris, the Pierce County High School product. Rolling to his right. And floating one deep. This could be a battle between defensive back and wide receiver, and it is... Oh, wait a second.
Tremendous
defensive
catch.
back won the battle, but they will not give him the interception. Kalia Hackett came up with the interception, the South Paulding High School product, who his dream is to play Division I college football, receive a degree in the culinary arts, and own many restaurants, he says.
So it's a ambitious young man if he makes catches like that.
He didn't say anything about playing in the National Football League, Scotty, but boy, that's close.
We'll have a better chance of owning restaurants if he plays in it. Yeah.
Now, statistically, he'd have a better chance of owning a restaurant than playing in the National Football League. That's so tough. Unless you're from the state of Georgia, in which case your percentage this year in the National Football League, and this is a telling stat as to why this game gets the attention it does across the nation. 19% of National Football League players in 2012 were natives of the state of Georgia. Now think about that for a second. I'll say it again as that one soaks in. 19% of National Football League players in 2012 were natives of the state of Georgia.
It's unbelievable stat, especially
That's a
when you
large
consider,
stat.
Yeah, I mean, Georgia's a big state, but it's not like Florida or California or Texas in terms of size and population.
19%. Couldn't believe it.
Of course, a lot of those kids come from Metro Atlanta, which is huge.
91 players total. Look at that quick fire, but incomplete. Boy, great job by the defensive back to collapse his body, let the free-flowing play follow through, and number 14 comes straight down and swats the ball away at the last moment. It's Lance Austin. Look at this.
One of the Austin twins, and he's right there to make a play on the ball. Good job to not get there too soon, right? He uses his inside arm to stay with the receiver, and had he caught it, he almost certainly would have put a big hit on the kid. Both those Austins will be good corners at the next level.
No fair catch. Catch is made at the 40, and a tackle immediately put on the receiving man, and that's where the East All-Stars will start offensively their next drive. We're tied at 7 at 6:18 in the second quarter of the Georgia Junior Bowl, brought to you by AT&T and presented by RisingSeniors.com. Watching it live here on ESPN3 and the Play On High School Sports Network alongside Scott Janovitz. I'm Chris Mooneyham.
And you made the NFL point to make the larger point about how much talent is in this state, and I think it is the reason you see so many programs like Alabama, even Ohio State, Clemson, South Carolina. All these programs make Georgia their #1 or #2 priority when it comes to recruiting. It used to be Florida. You'd camp out in Florida. Notre Dame even used to come down to Florida. All these big-time programs, and they still try to. But I believe Georgia has become the #1 state for big-time Southeastern and Southern powers to recruit. It really has. I mean,
I agree, and then not to step on your point, I agree, but now where does that put Georgia? You know, I've been pushing for the last few years. You and I have been working together for a few years now, and I've been pushing, saying, look, there are 4 or 5 big states across the nation that dominate. There's Florida, there's Georgia, there's Texas. Who am I forgetting? California, of course. And then you've got a battle between some other big-time states for that 5th spot. I think Georgia's up to #3 right now. I really believe that. And in some ways, they're starting to battle California because of pure depth and speed and the refined skills going into the college level. Where do you stand on that one?
Yeah, I
agree. Disagree with me
no,
wholeheartedly?
No, I agree. I mean, I think it certainly has increased its edge over the rest of the states, right? If it's still 4 and has closed the gap with Texas, I think, as the 3rd best.
You say Texas,
It used to be that, well, I don't know. I mean, I
say California. Hey, but it's a push and, it's a give and take.
It used to be. And there you see another nice pass.
Close
Good
to another
tackling
first down, by the way.
On that play. Bunch of guys swarming to the ball. Number 12.
That's Lawrence Austin.
He's all over the
Well,
place.
we can't stop talking about the Austin boys, can we?
Yeah. Kids are everywhere. They got great speed, that's the thing. And then to go with it, physical kids at 5'8".
Offered by Marshall, South Alabama, and South Carolina.
Yeah, but the problem with them is they don't play their positions. Right? I mean, they're asked to play offense, but they're not going to play it at the next level. And sometimes that can prevent you from getting big-time scholarships offers because the schools just haven't seen you. That's why this setting is also so important.
Offensive line blown up. Barton had about 3 seconds to try and get rid of that one. And the end, he's brought down by not just a defensive back, or not just a defensive lineman, but also a defensive back. In on the play, number 24, Nick Glass, and I missed the defensive tackle.
Bryson Allen
you got
Williams.
it.
Bryson Allen Williams. Not surprised to see him make a big play.
Also, no, you're right. Sorry about that. There he is, 95. That's Dante Sawyer. First time we've mentioned Dante in this ball game. 6'3", 240, number 95 out of North Gwinnett, with offers from UNC and Ohio State.
I remember watching him, I believe it was the state title game, score on about a
few years ago, yeah.
12-yard run as a freshman. I thought that was the biggest freshman running back I'd ever seen. Of course, he turned into a monster defensive end.
Yeah, that was an odd team that year because remember, A.J. Johnson was also running the football that year, who, of course, was a linebacker by trade, went to Tennessee.
Plays there, ton.
What kind of year did A.J. have this year? By
Very
the way,
good one. He's by far he was I think by far their best defensive player.
Was he? Okay. Didn't follow him too tightly this year.
Turned
3rd down play coming up.
Into a heck of a linebacker, which is where he was always going to play. But you said it. He played quarterback. What they call it, the wild elephant, because they're the red elephant.
Yeah, he had to play running back, and they had some injuries that year. They need the 50 for a first down. Barden, the lefty's going deep, where he's got a man beyond the secondary, but incomplete. Oh, so very close. Guger, the intended receiver. We've mentioned Terry a couple of times today, but haven't really delved into his numbers too much. He's got offers from Notre Dame, who his family likes as we see the replay. Offers from Tech and UNC, South Carolina, where he loves the atmosphere, Cincinnati, Mississippi State, Wake Forest, and Vandy, where he loves the coaches. So he quite candidly, Terry says, I'm kind of mixed right now. I'm really mixed up going into my senior year as to where I want to go.
Well, he's got plenty of time, but it looked like he got held up there a little bit by the defensive back. Either way, a good job by Barden to hang into the pocket. He took a big hit, but stood in there strong and delivered what was not a terribly thrown ball, pretty accurate. I think Guger would have come down with it had it been a cleaner route.
Fair catch called and made by Stanton Truitt from Monroe area. And the East All-Stars have it back. What could be the last possession for them in the first half at 4:10. Another telling statistic for the state of Georgia. How many Georgia high school seniors come National Signing Day in February will sign letters of intent with FBS schools? FBS schools now. That's just in the football bowl subdivision. Around 200.
Yeah.
Another amazing number. Anywhere from 190 to about 205. Handoff. Is that Williams carrying a defender over the 35-yard line? I believe it is. Yes. No. Let me catch the number. Pardon me. Is that Truitt?
No, you were right. It's Stanley Williams, number 7 for the East.
Thank you.
And it's a particularly impressive run. You see his initial quickness and speed there through the hole, but he's known for that. And so what makes that run even more impressive is you saw his lower body strength, his power, as he dragged a tackler there for an extra yard or two. And that's what he brings to the table that I think a lot of scouts didn't know he had until about a week ago. Of course, he's semi-committed to Georgia.
Well, they're juniors. They're kids. They're 16 and 17, so they're all semi-committed.
Well, you don't have to. You don't
so.
have to be.
Right, rightfully so. I mean, you know.
You could not commit. Wait till you know. I think he was extremely committed until he saw what Gurley and Marshall did for Georgia this year.
Well,
I wouldn't go there.
Well, you're just saying that because you're a Gator fan, but I got news for any running backs that are thinking about going to the University of Georgia. Todd Gurley will be gone after 3 years.
And so could Keith Marshall, but then there's A.J. Turnman, a kid they got out of Florida this year. Big back. They're still going after Alvin Kamara. I don't know where he's going to go. He's a Georgia, Alabama.
I think Florida State's fallen out of that one. And what do you think? Again,
it's going to be Georgia or Alabama.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think he would like to go to Alabama. The question is, they've got 3 guys already committed to that program. All really good. One from this state, right? Tyron Jones.
Right. Derrick Henry, of course, from Yulee.
Who knows where he'll play once he gets there. And they may sell Kamara on that he's not a running back. He thinks he is, and so
what's his measurables now, Henry? What's he up to? I haven't seen since the beginning of the year. Is he 6'3" now?
Yeah.
Mercy.
He's a monster, and
he's like Eddie Lacy. He's bigger than Eddie Lacy, right?
I don't know if he's definitely as tall, if not tall. I think he's probably taller, which people don't love in a running back, right? It usually requires them to run up in a more upright fashion than what you want. It makes getting leverage awfully difficult, but
4th down quarterback sneak here, by the way, and the East All-Stars have the first down.
What he has that Lacy doesn't have is blazing speed. Yeah. I don't know that he's got the start-stop. Lacy, for a big back, can make you miss at times.
Sure
and through the hole, his change of direction, one cut-and-go skills are very good. I don't know that Henry has that, but he has the big play ability with his ability to take the ball the distance.
Elijah Staley, by the way, now in at quarterback. 6'7", maybe 6'6", depending on who you talk to and if he's wearing a pair of Nike Elites or not. But Staley at 6'7", 215, what they list him at officially out of Wheeler High School, now in at quarterback. With an offer from Vanderbilt. This kid, another guy who needs that exposure. He's got some talent. Not everybody's all over him. Running back bursts to the top side, has another first down, I believe. That's Brown. We'll see.
Well, I don't think he's produced like a lot of these other quarterbacks have, but what he has is the potential, right?
That's
and
right.
The measurables.
He's a potential guy. You're right. But he combined for 17 touchdowns so far this year, or in 2012 regular, in the Georgia regular season. 1801 through the air, 12 through the area.
What did we say Deshaun Watson combined for? 70 something?
Yeah.
To 17. So
Yeah.
that's one of the differences.
Yeah.
Of course, Wheeler's not as loaded as Gainesville.
Right. Made the playoffs via a tiebreaker, or did they may have had to play in one of those play-in games, I forget.
You mentioned that Vanderbilt's in on him. Of course, Vanderbilt also landed the signature or the a commitment from Jonathan McCrary, another big-time quarterback in the class of 2013. So James Franklin and company, a sneaky good recruiting class. Near the top 25, if not firmly in it. You got to give that guy a ton of credit for, I think, making Vanderbilt a legitimate SEC program. I would have hired him if I was Auburn. I would have hired him if I was Arkansas. I would have
Tennessee.
I don't understand.
Yeah. Well, they had 2 recruiters at the state championship games a couple of weeks ago at the Georgia Dome here in Atlanta. Of course, I saw Urban Meyer, as close as I am to you now. Urban was there. Kirby Smart, Mike Bobo. 48 seconds left in the first half here at Grady Stadium in Atlanta. We're tied at 7 in the AT&T Georgia Junior Bowl, presented by RisingSeniors.com.
Urban Meyer was at Florida for 6 years, did okay recruiting the state of Georgia. Got guys like Omar Hunter, Mac Brown, Chaz Henry, who ended up being a sensational punter, but certainly didn't dominate this state as a recruiter.
Did better in South Georgia,
yeah.
right?
Right, and it's unbelievable to see what he's doing from Ohio. He's recruiting the state better from Ohio than he did from a much closer location in Gainesville. The list is unbelievable. I'll rattle off here after this play.
Staley, left-hander, going to throw a floater deep into double coverage, and incomplete. Had a battle down there between Kaysen, the wide receiver, and the defensive back, Lance Austin. Alex Kaysen was the intended receiver.
Here's the list. As you see the deep ball here from Staley. Threw that one just a bit and threw it into double coverage. Not exactly what you want to see. Here's the list quickly of guys who either call Ohio State their leader or in their top three. Raekwon McMillan, Miles Autry, Damari Kitt, Deshaun Watson, Stanley Williams, Dante Sawyer, Milan Richard, Nick Chubb, and Nick Glass. How many did I just name? Those are all, I mean, those guys are all in the top 20 to 25 prospects here.
Yeah. And McMillan, one of the top prospects in the entire country, especially at linebacker. Many people think he will be the #1 linebacker in the country, correct?
Yeah.
Again, you're the expert, but yeah, as far as I know. And oh, by the way, bad news for you. I saw Miles Autry down on the sideline, who's not playing due to injury this afternoon. And he had an Ohio State beanie on.
Yeah, they're both going to end up at Ohio State. I
boy.
don't think the rest of them necessarily will, because they can't all go there, but
they do have limitations, right? Yeah, they can't get all of them. All right, so with the timeout called at 34.7 seconds and 4th down, the East All-Stars looking to add 3 to their ledger and potentially take the lead.
And Autry's a lot like Kamara. Diminutive,
sure,
but incredibly fast, equally effective both running the ball and catching it. He would be a huge pickup for anyone.
Miles again not playing in this ball game due to what was it, a high ankle sprain? He did play in the state championship game, if ever so briefly, but he scored a touchdown in that ball game. Norcross, for those of you watching across the nation, the largest classification state champion at 15-0 here in the state of Georgia. And anytime you go 15-0, win a state championship in the largest classification in the state of Georgia, you're one of the best teams in the entire country. That is the home of Alvin Kamara, Lorenzo Carter, a handful of guys that are making a major national impact, including Autry. He was hurt, not expected to play, came in late in the ball game and helped spur a rally as they beat Lovejoy for the state championship.
Yeah, both those teams loaded with Division I talent. The best thing about that Norcross squad is so often are they among the most talented teams in the state, but they just don't ever seem to get it done in the postseason.
This kick on the way by O'Leary, and it's no good. The ball live in the end zone. Going to bring it out. He's got a cavalcade of blockers coming down the near side. This could be a special teams play that could turn the tide of the ball game. As the first half clock is running out, in the end, Elliott Berry ends up at 15 seconds at the 20-yard line. It was a 40-plus yard field goal attempt by Thomas O'Leary of the East All-Stars. The kick was short, went rattling around down there in the end zone, picked up by Berry, and he brought it all the way back to the 20-yard line. But hold on a moment, Keith Hammond, the head official tonight, or this afternoon, having a conversation with his crew to try to space things out. Here's the return. Look at the speed by Berry.
All for naught, but you said it, tremendous speed. And a heads-up play, right?
Yeah, indeed. Now, it will be a change in possession, but they're going to bring it back. They called a chop block on the play. On the return, so the West All-Stars will have possession, but where will they start? Boy, it looks like they're backing them up all the way to the 5-yard line, maybe the 10. We'll wait for the official spot.
What I was saying, nice to see Norcross get over that postseason hump.
Yeah, sure.
Almost like a Stevenson squad, team that's always talented. Just didn't seem to ever be able to get it done in the postseason, but they finally put it all together and had as memorable a season as ever in that history. I mean, in that program's history.
Yeah, and Keith Maloof, a great guy.
Finally got a championship.
Good
Nothing
for him.
better to see than you could call him a legendary coach at this point. I mean,
he's
one
getting
of
there.
the best.
Yeah, and of course he's the son of a legend in this state, one of the winningest head coaches. His father, one of the winningest head coaches in state history at where St. Pius, I believe. So, hand off to the running back, and this looks like it will be, and in fact is, the final play of the first half. Well, a nip and tuck affair in the first half of what's turned into a tremendous weather day here in Atlanta. A great way to end the 2012 calendar year. The East All-Stars 7 and the West All-Stars 7 in the 2012 version of the AT&T Georgia Junior Bowl, presented to you by RisingSeniors.com. It was a 5-yard touchdown pass from Brooks Barden to Cam Jackson, and then Deshaun Watson, a 7-yard pass to Josh Brown. Tied at 7 to the half we go in Atlanta, right here on ESPN3 and the Play On High School Sports Network.
Third down and 3 for the Indians. Oh, the ball came loose. Tiger's going to pick it up.
Look at that.
Took it back and scored.
Whoa!
That's unbelievable. That is unbelievable.
To buy a DVD of this and many other high school sporting events, go to playonsports.com/DVDs.
Back at Grady Stadium in Atlanta for the AT&T Georgia Junior Bowl, the 2012 edition of the Junior Bowl. Alongside Scott Janovitz, I'm Chris Mooneyham, the halftime show here at Grady Stadium in a 7-7 affair here in downtown Atlanta. And it has been a very entertaining first half, brought to you by Rising Seniors. And one of the heads of Rising Seniors, Joe Burns. Joe, a pleasure to speak with you again, my friend. Of course, a Georgia Tech legend, a Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket legend, and a Georgia legend. Did you win 2 or 3 state titles at TCC?
I actually won 3.
3 state titles,
yes,
and you were
3.
a 2-time Player of the Year, right?
Yes, sir.
And you were at Tech from 98 through 01, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, almost won a national championship in 99, but I digress. Scotty?
Of course, Joe, you played for, like we've established, an awfully talented high school team, but correct me if I'm wrong, not too many of you made it to the next level, to the collegiate level. Lack of exposure, if you will, at that time. Talk about how a game like this has really changed things for guys like you.
Not only from the exposure from the football standpoint, but just the life skills training, like helping us, put us in a situation to make the right decision. Because life is all about choices and consequences. So we were trying to present these young men and give them the answers to the test before the test. Because our goal is, we don't, like football, they got that under control.
Right.
I just don't want one of these guys to be the guys we read about on ESPN for the things they've done wrong. So like this game right here is really helpful for any high school athlete, because at my high school we won 5 state championships in 6 years. We only had 8 guys go to college. Wow. So now, from our last year's class, we had 32 guys with Division I scholarships before the game last year. And before the 2013 senior year, it was 76 guys with Division I scholarships.
And really, and that's the thing that I've told people throughout the years, that's really the whole basis for the program, what you guys are putting together. Yes, it's an all-star game. Yes, it's entertaining to watch the kids play ball. But, I mean, you guys bring them in. You bring in the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. It's really more about almost a home ec class throughout the week. It's not just about football. It's about talking about balancing their checkbook, dealing with college life, you know, stay away from bad influences and things like that. That's just as important as the football.
And to us, that's the most important thing. I realized, and me and Isaiah realized that if we ask these kids come to our leadership program, it'll just be me and him there.
Right.
So the game is the bait, the carrot that dangle in front of them to get them to come here. Because once we get them here, then we have an opportunity to change their lives. But without the game, they wouldn't come to our leadership program. We understand that. So that's all we have. We have a leadership educational program to help these young men go on to be great men one day. We're giving them the foundation that can hopefully carry them for the rest of their lives.
Of course, education is a big emphasis, as you just said. So is giving back, though, to the community. Talk a little about that.
It's so important because, you know, like when the kids with the Curing Kids Cancer, and we have players curing kids cancer, we actually had Craig Kimbrell come speak with the guys. You know, we did paint art to hang around hospitals, but Curing Kids Cancer, that's our heart. Everybody's been affected through cancer. If you haven't, trust me, everybody will. Right. So we want to let them know that there's so many kids that would love to be doing the things they are doing right now, but for things out of their control, they can't. So it's important for you to go on and be those leaders and be those examples for those kids can look at, say, you know what, I remember meeting Deshaun Watts, and he's such a great guy, or, you know, anyone, and for the things they're doing positively, not for the things they're doing that they aren't doing right. You had the banquet throughout the week. You brought in Alvin Kamara and other alum from last year's ball game. A lot of great talent in this year's this year's roster, and throughout the years you'll have a lot of talent. But talk about how special it was to have guys like Kamara come back, Adams come back, and speak at your banquet. And because, I mean, we may have had 5, 6, 7 future NFL players in last year's squad. It was real special. It lets you know that you're doing something right and you're really making a difference, and they realize it's not about football. Having Josh Dobbs come back and speak, you know, he had his suit on with his jersey underneath it and took it off. That, you know, that was something touchy. You had, you know, Carl Lawson, Alvin Kamara, but we had a panel before our choices and consequences panel. So we had Raphael Kirby, Josh Hosley, Ricky Parks, and Brandon Cabano come and just, you know, talk about, you know, their experiences. So who's who? Yes, the recruiting process and what it's like in college. Because I think, you know, people don't understand when you go to college, it's a job. Right. You know, you don't get any free time. And so we just talked to them about what to expect and the expectations. So that was really something special, how those guys come back and come sit and talk and share with their younger brothers. Joe, can we fit in 2 more?
Yeah, I was going to say, of course, we've talked about education. We've talked about giving back to the community. Of course, they are playing some football as well. Talk about how good these kids are when you compare it to maybe just 3, 4, 10 years ago.
It's amazing. I tell the running backs, you got guys like, you know, Chubb and Paul, Adam Choice. You know, the list goes on and on. But the thing about it is I'm glad I graduated so long ago so I don't have to compete with these guys. Just every year it amazes me with the talent level and the dedication these young men have to be great football players. Is
it physical or mental that they've really improved? Or both?
I say both, but majority physically, because, you know, that mental toughness, that comes through adversity. That comes through failing. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's why it's good to put them in this situation where it's about how they're going to respond to not being the best player on the field. How are they going to respond when the person beside them is just as competitive as they are? This is the type of adversity that, you know, can actually build that mental toughness. Like, what are you going to do now when you can't push everybody around? So it's just putting them in that gives that mental toughness. If everything is easy for you, you're not going to be as mentally tough as someone who went through a lot of adversity. Joe, you still think about that FSU game, 1999? I do. So close to a national championship? You know, me and Joe Hamilton talk about that game all the time. Do you? You know, he actually came and was part of our choice and consequences panel. Okay. You know, so so close. So close. Joe was like, man, you didn't help me with my senior year by getting hurt.
Of course, you had to remind him of it.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Well, I have to think about it all the time, so why shouldn't everyone else? No, Joe, thanks. Seriously, we really appreciate it. It's a great thing you guys are putting together here. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
All right, that'll take us to the break, and when we come back, we'll have second half stats, and we'll get ready for the second half of play. The East All-Stars and the West All-Stars tied at 7 in the 2012 AT&T Georgia Junior Bowl, presented by RisingSeniors.com. Back at Grady Stadium here in downtown Atlanta for the RisingSeniors.com presentation of the AT&T Georgia Junior Bowl. Back with another one of the key cogs to putting things together here at RisingSeniors.com. One of the big-time board members, along with Izell Reese and Joe Burns. I'm here with Ken Ellsbury. Ken, good to meet you. Good to be with you. Tell us about the process. Walk us through it. We talked to Joe about the football a little bit and about the week and how it lays out, bringing in the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, teaching them about the COG as far as college goes and everything. But how about putting everything together, the pre-preparation? How does all that work?
It's a lot of work. I mean, we have to sit down. We have about 2 hours worth of meetings, probably start, say, 3 or 4 months ahead of time.
Yeah.
We pick some of the players. We have to go through, and it's the logistics of the whole thing. It's the speakers.
Yeah.
It's the agenda. It's concessions, it's everything.
Lining up media.
And yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sure.
Exactly, and it's quite a feat, but we have some great volunteers.
It's such a big and talented state. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I imagine one of the more difficult parts of the process is picking the players.
It's very, very tough, I'll tell you. We rely on nominations, but we also rely on the eye test. A lot of times we'll go out to games and we'll see players, or we'll get a phone call. I mean, I had a phone call from a cousin of mine and said, hey, you should see this guy. The guy from Norcross is unbelievable. We look at his film, he's invited.
Wow.
And it really is fulfilling, because you'll have kids, like last year, we had several kids with no offers coming to the game and end up with 30 and 40 offers.
Yeah, and talk a little bit about what this whole process has meant to these kids, how much they enjoy it.
It means a lot to them. I mean, our motto is it's more than just a game.
Right.
We're trying to teach them to live beyond football. We want them to go back to their communities and be, you know, the little kids look up to these guys, and we want them to go back and be great men that just happen to be great players.
Don't want to bore everybody with the financial details, but you talked about the volunteerism that goes into the entire production, from game, from behind the scenes, the lead up. How big is the financial impact in trying to put this thing together, from volunteerism and all that?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, it's huge. AT&T, Rollins, I mean, Rollins gives us the uniforms that you see out here.
Wow.
They're beautiful uniforms. We have so many people that step up. I mean, our program costs for us to put each kid up about $850 to $875. And it's free. It doesn't cost them anything.
Wow.
And it's because of the people that give. I mean, you have to have a giving heart, and you get back. So that's what we're trying to do.
Something these kids will remember forever. And you're doing a great thing for them, because in the end, it's going to save a family money and help them get a scholarship and increase themselves and their future. Ken, thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
We really appreciate it.
Appreciate
That's
it.
Ken Ellsbury.
All right.
Here as we get ready to wrap up half at Grady Stadium in Atlanta when we come back. Totals and highlights from the first half, and we'll get ready for the second half. It's the RisingSeniors.com presentation of the AT&T Georgia Junior Bowl. East and West tied at 7 on the Play on High School Sports Network and ESPN3.
To buy a DVD of this and many other high school sporting events, go to playonsports.com/DVDs.
Back to the second half of Play in the RisingSeniors.com AT&T Georgia Junior Bowl. Thanks for joining us here on ESPN3 and the Play on High School Sports Network. Alongside Scott Janovitz, I'm Chris Mooneyham here with a play-by-play story. 7-7, East and West. A couple of touchdown passes in the first quarter, our only scoring from two of the best quarterbacks in our state. The East All-Stars will start with possession third quarter. No automatic touchback in this ball game. If you're used to watching high school football in this state and you're thinking, well, that ball went in the end zone, where's the automatic touchback? They don't do that here in the All-Star game. Let's take a look at some highlights from first half action. Brooks Barden got his team on the board first. One of the most accurate passers in the state. 5-yard touchdown pass to Cam Jackson, Scott.
Yeah, showed good pace on that ball. Great timing with the receiver. Also looked right to get the defense second-guessing itself and went back left to the receiver.
And then there was Deshaun Watson on a 7-yard touchdown pass to Josh Brown from Brookwood.
Another good pass there. Had an open receiver, but it was the early pass, the good time in getting it there before the defenders, giving his guy a chance to score.
So 7-7. Opening play, second half, a handoff to the running back. Staley still in at quarterback.
Saw a nice tackle from Evan Berry on the opening kick. A lot of people expect the Berries to end up at Tennessee for good reason, but they'll tell you that's not the case. They're certainly looking at the Volunteers, but a lot of other schools as well.
It was Cedric Palmer on the carry, by the way. Got Dallas Rivers in the backfield with him. Palmer the carry. Hits the 5-hole, comes back to the left even more than back to the hash mark. Gets over the 30-yard line and gets his team a first down. Cedric Palmer, a Henry County High School product. Got a couple offers from Duke and Memphis. Went over 1,000 this year, had over 500 as a sophomore. Just underway, second half, and what has become an overcast day now in Atlanta. Boy, the weather has been so wacky here in Atlanta over the last week or so. Extremely cold and rainy. Great fire and catch, and then it looked like a fumble, but they're going to say possession was not held in a terrible collision between two men there, and that one was so stout you even got defensive backs trying to help up the intended receiver. Did not catch his number. We'll look for it in just a moment. Not a bad pass by the quarterback, Staley.
Looks like it was Milan Richard, the tight end. Good, really good, impressive Calvary Day.
Yes, he
pass catcher. He's going to have to develop a little bit more as a blocker, as most high school tight ends do.
A lot of schools looking his way too, Scotty.
Yeah, big time recruit. Has offers from Clemson, Georgia, Georgia Tech, South Carolina, USC, UCLA. Anytime those California schools are in on you before you even started your senior year, you know you've got a bright future ahead of you.
And stop me if you've heard this one before, but Vandy recruiting a kid in Georgia as well, this young man.
Okay, good size. As so many of these players now have. I mean, you look at the East offensive line. Christian Harris, the kid out of Collins Hill, is right now playing left tackle, is probably going to have to put on a little more weight, but if you just look at his frame, it's awfully impressive.
Change in the backfield, by the way. Josh Brown back into the ball game. Change on the defensive front as well, which we'll get for you here in just a moment.
You see Dennis Edwards right next to Harris. He's doesn't need to gain any more weight. He's college ready.
Handoff. Running back far side, eludes two tacklers, gets over the 40-yard line and closes in on the first down mark. Tremendous carry there by Donquell Green. Our first look at one of the, this kid kind of an enigma in this state out of Burke County.
Yeah, well, he's another kid who really didn't get a chance to play his position, his natural position, on the high school level. And there you see, added the backfield as a running back, shows great speed, great quickness, one-cut ability.
Only offered by one school at my count, is that right? Is that what you got him at? One offer, UNC?
He's another kid who was asked to
you think that's the reason
play
why?
Quarterback.
Because of what you said, yeah. Okay. Palmer on the carry there.
Well, I mean, it's early.
About a 4-yard gain. Yeah, sure.
It's early. Give these kids what has become a huge part of recruiting is the summer between your junior and senior year.
And one big thing you notice about this All-Star game in particular is when you have wholesale changes on both the offense and defensive line, but especially the defensive line, by the way. The second team of defensive linemen that come in is absolutely stout. Going to get you those numbers and performers here in a second. Staley, a completion out to Alex Kaysen, who plays at one of the most legendary high schools in the entire country. Kaysen at 6'3", 185, a Valdosta High School product.
Yeah, and he got absolutely nailed by Trayvon Polk. So much so that I think Polk was expecting him to go down here. You'll see Or actually, I'm sorry, that's 26. Malcolm Parrish. Quarterback, right? Malcolm Parrish was. Or is on the high school level. I believe that was him. 26. He was expecting the receiver to go down there.
Handoff. I believe this is Palmer again coming near side.
He is not Williams. Is at the 46-yard line, and another east side first down.
So the drive will continue for the East All-Stars. Handoff. Palmer again, right side. Palmer looks like he's got himself, oh, what, about a 3-yard gain? No, call it 5. They got a good spot there.
We've only seen, I believe, 1 or 2, I think 2 passes from Staley since he's been in the game. Of course, he had that long ball over the top, and then first play of this half. Great play there by big number 95.
Pittman. Yep. From Colquitt.
Packers had another great season.
Wow. The best number 4 seed I've ever seen come out of a region in Georgia high school football history.
And I talked to Rush at length about why his team always seems to be so good late in the season, especially on into the playoffs. That team always seems to gain momentum and get so much stronger as the year goes on, and certainly this year was no different. And it's why they got the 4 seed as opposed to a 1 or 2 seed.
All right. Well, they still only lost 3 games, though, right?
And to all good teams.
Games. Yeah, well, yeah. All inside the region. The one that was the biggest, of course, was their loss to Valdosta. That's what changed their fortunes.
They beat Camden in week 10, and then they went on that run.
Staley trapped behind the line of scrimmage, and then I'll bring up 4th down, and surely we'll see a punt here. Good job by the defenders to collapse in. Kearney came in there, for instance.
And they had an amazing season, by the way, despite having one of the more interesting quarterback stories of the year. From Cole Seagraves, the sophomore sensation who sort of regressed as a junior and then lost his starting job as a senior. Here you see a little good quickness there to avoid that first tackle from Staley. For a big kid, good footwork. Of course, then they went to Daniel Mobley, who was sensational. Then he gets hurt, and so they got to go back to Seagraves. And Seagraves has just goes 4 or 5 game stretch that, as good as any we'd seen, and leads him far into the playoffs. It was a great story for Seagraves and that Packers team.
Colquitt, by the way, for those of you out of the state, maybe not aware of that team, plays down in that South Georgia area in the same region with Valdosta, whom, if you know your high school football across the country, you've at least heard of Valdosta. They play with, what is it? It's Camden and Valdosta and Colquitt and Lowndes.
Coffee's in there.
And Coffee, right. Mercy. Boy. Moultrie.
It's Region 1.
Right. Yeah.
Scary region.
For a reason.
Yeah.
Is it ironic that they've made it Region 1? Yeah.
Of course, didn't Valdosta win ESPN's Sports Town of the...
Oh, yeah. What was that? Years ago, right? Yeah.
Wasn't that long ago. Well, 3-4 years.
Sure.
Titletown. Thank you.
Adam Bryant. Well, you start talking about South Georgia. We've heard more from Adam Bryant in the last 5 minutes than we had the first hour and a half we were here. No, I'm only kidding. I kid because I care. First opportunity offensively for the West All-Stars. That's Stafford in the ball game. I believe it is. Fires out here to Kit. Oh boy, Damari, did you see that, Scotty? 1 tackler away from potentially streaking down the near sideline. He is a big play waiting to happen.
Yeah, shows you there his ability to make tacklers miss in the open field, which is not even his best skill, and that's what makes him so enticing. Is his ability after the catch is just sort of the cherry on top, if you will. Such a good pass catcher downfield.
3rd and 3 coming up. Charles Stafford, number 3 with the green helmet on, the quarterback, checks his quarterback coach on his wrist and comes to the line. The Monroe High quarterback, who threw for 29-21 through the air this past season. Offers from Georgia, Alabama, LSU, and Missouri. Will it be at quarterback is the question. Fires out in the flat, and the wide receiver cannot work around the block and get to the first down mark. It'll be 4th and 3 now.
Yeah, and that time, East defensive back wasn't going to allow Kit to get away. Good tackle low on the big receiver. Kit not foreign to recruiting. In fact, he's already committed and decommitted from Georgia. He was being recruited as a freshman and as a sophomore. That's anytime you play for a big program like that. He plays obviously at Sandy Creek. You're going to get recognized early because so many of the upperclassmen are being recruited.
Been a very fast-paced 3rd quarter here so far. We're already down to the 4.5-minute mark as Wells gets his right foot into one.
All that captivating South Georgia talk that, you know what they say about having fun, right? Time flies or something like that.
The call and the catch made by Stanton Pruitt right at midfield, and that's where the East All-Stars will have their second possession of the second half. Each team with a touchdown in the 1st quarter, both coming on touchdown passes, one from 5 yards out. From Brooks Barden to Cam Jackson for the West All-Stars, and then Deshaun Watson later on hit Josh Brown from 7 yards out to tie us at 7 for the East All-Stars.
I'll tell you, I was surprised early, and we said it, that both offenses, I think, scored on their opening possession, or I think
second possession.
The West scored on the opening, the East on their second, and sort of we've come back to reality as the defenses have taken control.
And we mentioned it at that moment, how the offenses were starting to come alive, and they even had a few other drives as Harris fumbles the football. Could be the 2nd turnover of the afternoon, both of which would belong to the East All-Stars, and it is.
Now, I hate to point out negative details, but those scoring drives coincided with when Barden and Watson were still in the game.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's another fumble recovery for Justin Jones. Hit on the play, by the way, Dontavius Russell, the Carrollton High School product. They know a little bit about defensive pressure over in Trojan country. Dontavius with a forced fumble, 90 tackles each of the last 2 years, and his defensive teammate Justin Jones from South Cobb there to recover the fumble, his 2nd fumble recovery of the afternoon.
Yeah, and he's another kid who was awfully impressive during practices over the weekend. Dominated one-on-one drills, and on that play he had one-on-one with the guard, and he blew that play up in a big way. He has offers from, it's strange, you rarely see a guy have 2 offers, and they're from Georgia Tech and Florida. It's a weird combination, but obviously Georgia Tech, the local school, has seen him, and Muschamp obviously has been impressed with him as well.
And how about Justin Jones, the South Cobb product, the man with the 2 fumble recoveries? First the pass by Garvin, out here to Kit. Got to make a move on 2 defenders and can't quite do it. Right back to the original line of scrimmage. Going to bring up 3rd and about 7.5, maybe 8. But Justin Jones, Scotty, a 2-year starter, mentioned him earlier in the ball game when he had his first fumble recovery. The Defensive Player of the Week twice in Cobb County, one of the bigger counties in metro Atlanta, for those of you who live outside of the state. But Jones wants to study mechanical engineering, sports management, or the culinary arts.
Those are all sort of
a wide range of,
He's
there
got
he
the whole
is, 54.
spectrum covered there.
Yep.
Talented kid.
Indeed. Well, he can go to Tech and become a mechanical engineer. Then go to one of those side schools to get his culinary thing. What is it, the Cordon Bleu place? Get that going as well.
You could be his advisor, Chris.
I will be his advisor, sure, yeah. I'm all about helping a young man improve his life.
Saw our
first down.
First big run there from Nick Chubb showed you his lower body strength. You like to see a guy like that keep his legs moving through initial contact, and he certainly did. Otherwise, he wouldn't have picked up barely anything. But
5'11", 208.
It's about 8-9 yards after contact. Almost Adrian Peterson.
Oh boy.
Had like 1,000 yards after contact this year.
And that came on a big 3rd down carry. So let's remember that turnover a moment ago and this ensuing drive. Garvin fumbles the football. Two offensive players had first shot at falling on top of it, but we'll see if the defender could squirt underneath him. No, sir, he could not. So the men in gray will keep possession. There's Garvin.
Just padding his stats, Chris.
Dropped it on purpose so he can have a fumble recovery. Yeah.
If you look at it in the paper tomorrow, you'll say, what was Garvin doing in on defense?
How in the world? Yeah.
Crazy coaches.
So a 2nd and 10 coming up just outside of the East red zone. Garvin with 3 wide receivers. Now make it 4, or at least a tight end. But he'll flare out. No, he stays in the block. Fake the handoff to Chubb. Fire out here to Kit, who's got the catch outside the 10. Makes a tremendous defensive move, and eventually, nope, they're going to say he actually did step out of bounds on that tremendous athletic move at about the 13-yard line.
You know, it's unbelievable he's even able to catch this ball or get open, because there's 3 defenders in his area.
He's some kind of player, Scott.
I mean, the whole defense. I mean, look, you've got 3 tacklers who can all make the play. None close enough, though, to prevent the catch.
He's a 3-year starter, a 2-time state champion. And over the last 3 years, this year he had 70 catches, 42 as a sophomore. Mercy, he's got 25 total touchdown catches, a Sandy Creek record in his career, and over 130 catches in his career.
Well, I was going to say, you don't have those kind of stats or the production he's had today without having an exceptional ability to get open, and that's what he's shown again today. As good as he is at hauling the ball in, he gets open first and foremost. Right. And not every receiver can do that. Some of the fastest, quickest receivers out there don't run the crispest of routes, and he does it all.
Well, we've isolated certain players and talked about how they've had productive practice weeks. The big thing on Kit was his elegance and the body control that he's had. The big thing for Garvin, the man that was just on your screen, is some people didn't realize his arm was quite so strong. We talked about Nick Chubb, who could arguably be the most impressive young man, the running back, out of Cedartown, could have been the most impressive young man talent-wise this entire week. People didn't realize how fast he was. People questioned whether or not he would be strong enough, if he was tough enough to take the beating. Could he get to the edge?
I think his size is what's really taken a lot of people by surprise. Garvin, to me, the shocking thing, although we've seen Garvin play a ton.
Right.
His release is so quick. If you have a quick release and you're accurate, especially at the college level, because at the NFL level you got to be tall sometimes. Tell it to Russell Wilson, right?
Right. Drew Brees.
But usually you want a kid who's 6'2" and up who can see over the line. But at the college game, if you have a quick release and you're accurate, especially if you have good arm strength, but forget that. If you can do those 2 things first and foremost, you're going to have a productive career, and he's got those things in spades. I mean, he gets the ball out quickly and in a position that allows his receivers to get yards after the catch, which is huge.
And the one thing that can make up for a lack of a quick release sometimes can be decision making. If you know where you're going with the football early, then you can afford to sit back there for a second. Garvin also does a tremendous job at that. But then again, most big-time quarterbacks across the country, and especially in this state, are good at that, the decision-making process, I mean. Carry here for...
Best I've ever seen at that?
Lawrence Austin on the carry.
Danny Warf. Had to get a Gator plug in. Danny Warfel was.
Well, it had been half an hour.
He had probably the weakest arm of any Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah, but Danny was also very accurate.
Unbelievably accurate. But that ball was out of his hand 2-3 seconds sometimes before the guy even
made his break.
Right.
Yeah. Well, he does that a lot. Garvin does with Kit. You'll see that a lot. They did that in the state championship game. Kit made a big-time catch in the second quarter where he was literally caught the ball with about an inch to spare before he hit the out-of-bounds mark. He looks this time, fires, and you saw it right there. That was a great look at it, almost like I knew it was coming. I think I've seen Sandy Creek a couple of times.
Well, that's a ball that should have been caught. That was one heck of a pass in double coverage, but perfectly placed. No one could have caught that, but put it on the money. Kick up both hands on that ball, and
oh boy,
should have brought that in. But you got to give the defense credit there for putting a pop on number 2 before he did haul. Get a little tougher than it should have been.
Another field goal opportunity for A.J. Wells. Both teams with one field goal opportunity in this ball game, neither of which, obviously, as you see the score up there, has been put through the uprights. And this one, from 25 yards away, is good by A.J. Wells from Marion County. We talked about the numbers earlier in the ball game for A.J. before his missed field goal. This guy misses so few PATs, it's ridiculous. He started as a freshman. He's a two-time preseason AJC All-State selection. And his team leads now 10-7.
You can't be a two-time preseason All-State guy without having at least one good year, right?
Yeah.
Because if they...
You got it, right, yeah. Bump. Yeah, well, he really slugged that last one, the one that he missed earlier. What was that, second quarter, I think? He really slugged it. He just, he pulled it a little bit. And let's face it, the turf down there is field turf here at Grady Stadium. Still a little slick. I was down there earlier. Still a little slick from the weather we had rolled through over the last week.
I mentioned Austin Hardin earlier because of his struggles at the Under Armour All-American game. And from that point on, it dawned on me how hard it is for these kids sometimes if they have kickers, or holders, I'm sorry, that they're not used to.
Yeah.
And if they're in situations, I mean, you see some of the best kickers in the country redshirt, which you wouldn't think is necessary. Adam Griffith is another one of those kids we were talking about. Calhoun, redshirt at Alabama. Hardin, redshirt at Florida. I believe Blair Walsh did not, but at Georgia. But
yeah, they had to throw him right into the fire, though, if you recall.
Right.
This one taken out of the end zone to the 10 and the 15.
And he struggled early, right? I mean, kickers take time when settings and holders change.
Well, Blair struggled in a way throughout his career. He went on streaks. That was one thing about Blair you never knew. With Blair Walsh, he was so streaky. But good for the kid, always a good kid. I met Blair Walsh a long time ago. Great kid, and good for him and all the success he's had with the Minnesota Vikings, now a Pro Bowler. And of course, kicked the Vikings into the playoffs last night.
Of course, didn't Georgia start a freshman this year at that position who also struggled early? And
put it together towards the end, didn't he? Yeah, well, that's the way it goes. You're right.
But you wouldn't assume that. You would think kicking is transferable. It's not.
A little bit of confusion there in the backfield for the East All-Stars. Deshaun Watson back into the ball game, by the way, hands it to Stanley Williams, who comes down to the near side and got one man to beat. 35 and 40, 45-yard line, and finally wrestled out of bounds by one of the Alston boys. A tremendous carry by Stanley Williams from George Walton Academy.
Yeah, and there you see how good he is, not just through the line initially, but once he gets into the open field, he picks up yards in chunks. Big play threat, but also a guy who can potentially be an every down back.
Shifty.
At a big time college.
There it is, right there, that cut.
Well, that's what's so impressive, right? I mean, up the middle, a traditional up the middle type runner initially on that play, and then once he gets outside, he's going to pick up 10, 15 yards quickly.
Nice move right there at the line of scrimmage, and that's usually the key, is that first little shimmy shake move right at the line of scrimmage. He was able to just barely slide to the right, hit the hole, and then back to the left, and that bought him about, I don't know, 3 more yards.
Reminds me a little bit of a guy we saw last year in this game, Tyron Jones, who we thought, or a lot of people thought early on in his career, was a speed scat back type guy. But I believe Rivals had him listed as an all-purpose guy. That's not true. I mean, the kid was as physical as anyone we'd seen in a while.
Well, the 2012 version of the Georgia Junior Bowl, presented by RisingSeniors.com, is coming down to the final quarter in a 10-7 West lead. It has been a tremendously talented roster field, big play. Well, maybe not big play, but we've had some tremendously big plays in this ball game. Turnovers have been a key. 10-7 to the end of the third quarter. The fourth coming up next on the Play On High School Sports Network and ESPN3.
Oh, that's good stuff. All right, perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. We're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the Play On School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP.
One match away from immortality.
This is a total team effort.
We're gonna come at you.
One shot at this.
Josh Brown to the far side, and he'll have another first down for the East All-Stars. Back for fourth quarter action here at Grady Stadium in Atlanta.
Been very impressed with Brown.
Well, yeah.
A couple nice runs. Obviously, he showed the ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. So important in football today to be multidimensional. All these spread offenses love to mix personnel, keep defenses guessing.
Looks like Kaysen down in the field. Doesn't appear to be too serious. May just be shaken up on the play. Last thing you want is an injury in an all-star game. Like the young man that was hurt for, what am I thinking of? For Georgia.
Recently?
Yeah. Why have I forgotten? Well, no matter. 10-7 ball game. West All-Stars out in front.
What do you think about it? That's one of the better bowl games, Georgia, Nebraska. Any thoughts on that?
Boy,
Nebraska came out and said, who was it? One of the guys from Nebraska, almost like the Missouri receiver, who came out and said, you're not used to seeing 5 wide sets. Georgia, well, someone came out for Nebraska and said, I don't think their defense can stop us. Well, if I were a Nebraska player, I'd be more worried about your defense stopping Georgia's, because I believe Nebraska gave up 70 points last time they were out on the football field.
Alex Kaysen taken off the field there. Well, you really hope that's nothing serious. So the East All-Stars with a first down on the opponent's side at the 42-yard line. Deshaun into the ball game. That tells me the coach is wanting to win this ball game. You notice that we've seen both starters back out in this third quarter. And of course, as soon as I say that, looks like Deshaun might be coming out of the ball game.
Or just getting the play, we'll see.
Yeah. First down carry marked as a 3-yard gain, and Deshaun, in fact, is coming back out onto the field.
I think these kids want to play, Chris, and the coaches promised them equal snaps, and so Deshaun's probably in his ear on the sideline.
Yeah, and you know as well as I do, boy, they love to fraternize with each other, the players do, but when it gets down to the fourth quarter of these ball games, brother, they want to win. Dallas Rivers in the game at running back, by the way, number 10, the down running back there. Fire out here in the flat and incomplete. Haven't seen Dallas Rivers carry the football, the Tucker product.
He had a phenomenal year.
Boy, and he was one of our favorites. Remember last year we saw Tucker quite a bit. He's for the East All-Stars in blue and white. You'll see him here in just a moment when they line up offensively, number 10.
I like so many of them. I mean, Jawal Williams was a sensational talent. Yusuf Minor beat me to it.
Well, we saw Tucker, twice, I think, a couple of years ago. And man, oh man, they had a 4-headed monster over there. There's Dallas. Dallas went 163 carries this year for 1,110 yards and 14 scores. Man in motion. Deshaun going to hand off to Williams this time. Stanley looking for the 30-yard line. He'll get it, but it'll bring up 4th and short.
Tucker had a great season. Had a lot of transition. I believe Brian Lamar took over, first-year head coach there.
Right. Franklin Stevens went down to Lamar County, who won a state title there, won a lot of ball games, turned the program around.
It's rare that a guy wins a state title and then says, I'm going to go try my luck elsewhere.
Sure. Well, he was he's a South Georgia, Central Georgia guy. He loves the plains down there. Went to Lamar County and won.
A lot like Ed Dudley, head coach of the East, who was at Walton. Took
Buford before that.
Had tremendous success there and said, I'm going to go home to Ware and see what I can do there.
Green in motion. Watson going to give it to him. Going far side. The defense does such a great job of staying home on the defensive side, the defensive right side, the offensive left side on the 4th down play.
Yeah, and Watson's fortunate he got rid of that ball exactly when he did, because the blitzer on that play, I'm trying to see what number it is.
About to get plastered, wasn't he?
Yeah, and potentially lose that ball. I can't tell the number because he's one of those guys who likes to roll up that new style or old style coming back.
Yeah, there's no jersey regulation in the All-Star game. Let's take a look at it and watch the left side stay home defensively. That's why they're able to make that play.
It's on Yane. Is that close?
You were close. I'm just going to smile and
just call him Randy.
Accept it. Nate Brown in on the tackle there from North Gwinnett. Look at this pass. It was batted away.
It's another great play by
yes, it is.
Sawyer. Awesome athlete. Again, once a running back now, I mean, you see his size. Still has the frame to put on more weight. Certainly has the athleticism and explosion you want out of a defensive end.
Well, I tell you what, he could have picked that thing off too. Here's Barden out of the shotgun again. Lefty going to step up, hit by 2 men as he just passes the 35-yard line. Boy, Brooks has really had to move.
Well, he's
offensively in this ball game, hasn't he?
He's the only quarterback we've seen today who's willing to look off receivers, and if it's not there, tuck it and run. Almost like it's a true game that, you know, he needs to win. Something you have to do, not force it.
Brooks has got 5 wide receivers here. 3 to the near side. He'll look this way, throw out here to the near running back who tries to slip through the screens and does, and it looks like he's got his team a first down. That's Cameron Jackson again.
It's the same play they scored on.
Yeah, they're running that a lot. We talked about it first half. Whole lot. And you're right, it is the exact play they scored on in the first quarter. Jackson, there he is. The Creekside High School product. Been starting as a freshman, 5'11", 175.
They run it well. Barden does a good job of putting the ball exactly where he needs to. It's not a difficult throw, but it's one that has to be thrown early. The later you wait, obviously, the less space your back's going to have, and he needed to get a ton of yards there, so it was a
great catch.
Timely throw.
Great catch by Lawrence Austin from Lamar County, one of the Austin boys. This time it's Lawrence at 5'10", 175.
Yeah, those kids are just football players. You know what it comes down to. They played running back and quarterback in high school together. Today we've seen them at wide receiver and corner, and that's the type of kid you want to recruit.
Now those kids are like every dad's dream. My gracious, she got twins, and both of them are great football players. And
you like to recruit kids that have exact positions, right? You know,
sure.
You know how good they are at the position you're going to play them at. But,
yes,
but at the end of the day, if a kid can star at 4 positions,
right,
then he's got a pretty good shot.
He can fill your weakness position. It's like having a kid that can play middle infield.
Right.
You know he just plays middle infield. So if you've got an Andrelton Simmons, you'll stick him over at second.
Nice little Braves reference.
Well, you get in your Florida references, and I'll work in my Braves references. As Barden looks deep, decides the better of it, rolls away from pressure, and is dragged down by one last defender at around the 46, maybe the 47-yard line. He had one defender to beat. He would have been able to get down here to the near sideline and potentially the first down mark. As it is, it'll bring up a 3rd and 2.
Boy, that was big Trenton Jenkins. He showed how well he can move for a big body guy who could potentially play nose guard in college, and he does a good job of changing directions there, and then just by the jersey dragging Barden down.
Changing the play at the line. He tells Trayvon Polk, his wide receiver, fires, or his running back rather, fires and gets a completion down here across the 40-yard line.
And that was a beautiful throw because it was also great coverage.
And he finds,
I was going to say on number 83, the receiver.
T.L. Ford, his teammate.
But he fit that ball in right between the DB and the sideline, and there was not much space there. Really nice throw, and good catch with his hands. I always like to see a receiver use his hands, especially when he has the opportunity to use his body.
Again with 5 wide receivers. Got a stand-up defensive end for the East defenders. They'll fire out there and incomplete. Looking for Jackson again.
Again, it's the same play. This time, though, I think Jackson heard footsteps.
Yeah, he did.
Or saw them coming. And
well, rightfully so. He had 3 guys bearing down on him.
Yeah, he was going to get hit.
I heard the footsteps up here. 8:02 mark.
He said, here, just take it.
Yeah. I don't want it. You have it.
Yeah.
Well, no, and in all seriousness, he was looking to run with it before he actually made the catch. 2nd and 10. Barden looks, fires where he's got a man down there. It's a battle between defensive back and wide receiver, and incomplete. Kit, the intended receiver. It
was actually a pretty well thrown ball, misread on that play, and looked like the receiver thought it was going to be underthrown, went to break it up, and it ended up obviously sailing over everyone's head. You see he comes in to catch that. And then
Well, Bryce Lewis, we haven't mentioned him much this afternoon. 6'1", 185 out of Parkview High School. The defender on that play has had himself a pretty good ball game. Barden floats one down there and incomplete. Over the defender, but not quite into the hands of his intended receiver, his teammate T.L. Ford. So that will now bring up a 4th down, and an interesting decision at this point in the field. It looks like, yeah, it looks like they're going to send it away.
Another play where the receiver seemed to cut off his route maybe a little early.
You see that?
Yeah, I was going to say, in an all-star game, not surprising.
You see the weather. It's a little more windy, a little more overcast, and a little more cold than it was when we started this afternoon.
Climate change.
Yeah, we're expecting rain here again in the metro Atlanta area. And the East All-Stars will start inside their own 20. And they're running out of opportunities in this ball game. Trailing 10-7 at 7:35 left in the ball game. How about your Gators? How's that Sugar Bowl going to go for them? What do you think? Will they win by less than 21 points?
I'll be there, and so I hope they win. If I fly to New Orleans for a loss, I'll be even more upset than seeing it in my living room.
That's just the chance you take.
It's I believe, a 14-point spread if I were a betting man, and of course I'm not.
Because, never mind.
Well, I don't like losing money. If I were, I'd bet Louisville all day. I think Florida wins, but not by 2 touchdowns.
Oh, okay.
Of course, I'm a Charlie Strong fan. Gators everywhere in that game. Former Gators, current Gators.
Which is exactly why I will not be watching it, as Deshaun Watson back under center.
It's a lose-lose for you.
And he's going deep. They're looking for the lead in one mighty swath and incomplete. Boy, oh boy, how far was that ball through the air? I can't do math that quick, so I'll just tell you that the intended receiver was Corey Keel.
I can.
Lay it on me.
60 yards.
Let's watch the replay as well. Mercy, did he heave that one up.
I actually think it was another well-thrown ball, and it looked like the receiver slowed up in right around the middle point of that route. And had he run, full speed the entire way, that would have been 6.
Well, Deshaun certainly wanted it. That was a great, great replay. Thank you, gentlemen in the truck and ladies. I think there's more ladies in the truck actually than gentlemen, so I should have switched that around.
Ladies
Watson.
Always first.
That's right. Deshaun fakes, keeps, has about 6 yards. We'll wait for the official spot, but he's close to the 25-yard line. And brings up a very interesting thought process, because this is what we saw all season long when Gainesville, the Red Elephants, were in trouble late in the ball game. They slowed down in the passing game, and what you saw was, certainly when they threw it, the small intermediate passes, the short passes to get the defense off of Watson, and then he would carry the football a great deal late in ball games when they needed to rally.
That was a heck of a fake too, because he could have easily lost yards on that play, instead picked up 6.
24-yard line. They need 4 for a first down. Maybe the 25-yard line. Fires. That's Keel, and Corey's got it. Good enough for a first down at the 32-yard line.
Really well thrown ball.
Boy, Deshaun must have worked out some kind of chemistry with Corey Keel. That's his 3rd reception of the ball game, and he's been, without question, one of Deshaun's main targets tonight.
You love it. You love to see a quarterback like that, though, on a 3rd and 6, where it's a short route and usually tight coverage. Just drill that ball in there, and that's what he did.
Handoff. Williams stopped at the line of scrimmage.
I think that was Dennis Edwards, big 72 on the tackle. Or no, I'm sorry. It was Pittman again.
Boy. How about a coming out party for the young man from Colquitt, 6'4", 290. Jemias Pittman.
Imagine a lot of people will want him on their team after today. I don't think he has any offers to speak of just yet. That'll change.
2 blitzing linebackers can't bring down Watson, and finally a gaggle of Western defenders are able to smother him down at around the 30-yard line. What a tremendous job athletically. Let's watch Deshaun get away from 1 and 2 blitzing linebackers. And he really got away from the 3rd guy, who was left with only a towel in his hand. Boy, that guy is something else. He is going to absolutely crush the all-time passing record next year. If he has a modest season next year. 3rd and long, handoff, and 4th and long coming up. West defense really stands up on a drive at 5 minutes, just outside of 5 minutes on this East drive to get the ball back.
Yeah, both defensive lines really are starting to get big-time penetration, something we didn't see early in the game, but you see a great play by, I believe it was Jawan Young. Haven't seen a lot of big plays from linebackers, although Jones has, what, 2 fumble recoveries?
Yep, absolutely. Boy, receiving man wanted to let that one roll, but he had no other choice than to field it as it was coming screaming up on him. And he knew if he were to let it go, it would have, well, shoot, that ball could have been pinned down inside the 10-yard line. So Cameron Jackson had no other choice but to field it. So the West All-Stars have possession back, and they lead 10-7 at 4:40 left in this Georgia Junior Bowl. I want to take this opportunity to thank our entire crew here on the Play On Sports crew, our director Adam Bryant, our TD Amy Walker this afternoon, Rob Lipop, our engineer in charge, graphics run by Blair Eifel-Dano, replay by Allison Burke. Our A1 was Jesse Carlson, 8-2 in utility, Michael Hamilton. You still alive back there, Michael? He's good. Michael gets quiet when he comes up here in the booth with us.
Camera
Stafford.
shy.
Yeah, like you. Stafford the handoff, and the running back stopped after about a 3-yard gain. Our AD and ESPN3 coordinator, Captain Redbeard, Corey Steinecker. On the cameras this afternoon, Chris Hill, Kevin Miley, an Arsenal fan. Deb Church, Steve Hayes, and our PA and grip this afternoon is Benny Halpern. Alongside Scott Janovitz, I'm Chris Mooneyham. Thanks for joining us here on the Play On High School Sports Network and ESPN3 as we close out our coverage of high school football on the network this year. Toss back to the running back, slipping and falling. Good gracious.
It's been a tough day for Choice.
Boy, it has. It really has. People watching this saying, my gracious. And look, and Adam now finally just shaking his head. The kid has stayed composed and positive this entire ball game, but after this, he just jogs off the field shaking his head.
Not a reflection of how good he is.
Goes like that sometimes, young man.
Shard has offers from Florida, Georgia, Georgia Tech, Tennessee.
Now you just called him Tashard.
I'm sorry.
I want you to know. Named him after his brother. Look at that.
Tashard doesn't have any current offers.
I don't think Tashard has any eligibility left. Right.
Adam has the aforementioned offers. Calls Georgia and Florida his leaders.
Right. All right, so 4th down coming up. The East All-Stars come up with a big defensive stop, just what they needed at 3:10 left in the Georgia Junior Bowl, with a chance now to potentially have a pretty good field position on what will most likely be their final possession of the ball game. We didn't exactly expect an offensive explosion, but I don't know if we expected 10-7 either. Muffed and loose, and it could be the game. Well, the West All-Stars do recover. Now, East has 3 timeouts left. Just wanted to set that up really quick for you, Scotty, but the West All-Stars have possession back and just gained a whole lot of yardage.
No, that's exactly what I was going to say. The East still, or I'm sorry, the West is still going to have to run it out, but that was Stanton Truitt. Dropped that punt, and not exactly the best time for a turnover.
Oh boy, hate that for that young man.
A lesson learning moment. Just catching the ball, so valuable for a punt returner. Don't worry about the return always.
Now Cole Garvin into the ball game. He'll hand off. This is Chubb, and Nick has the 50-yard line. He pounds his fist on the turf because he knows if one defensive back had not reached out with a glancing blow and tripped him up, he could have been gone.
Yeah, he was a shoelace away from a touchdown, or at least another 20 yards. Haven't seen him in the open field today.
No.
Been a power-oriented day for Chubb. Would like to see, though.
Toss one out to him?
Yeah, I'd like to see his speed against this speed, because, like you said, Cedartown didn't have the chance to play many of the best teams in the state.
Garvin checking his 2 receivers on the near side. Instead, hands off to Chubb again. Ooh, he's got about 2.5 yards there, and we wonder if we'll see some timeouts. 2:10 left in this one, and now, in fact, we do have a timeout called by the East All-Stars on a 3rd and about a half yard coming up for them defensively.
Been a quiet second half.
Been a quiet ball game, really. Well, in some ways, we've
since
had
the first quarter.
Yep, 3 turnovers for the East All-Stars in this ball game. Just 2 touchdown passes, and both of which came in the first quarter, and only a field goal here in the second half.
You don't expect too much offense. We've kind of lamented that a bunch, but you do expect a lot of mistakes and thus big plays, and we haven't seen that either. No. It's been a pretty conservatively played game.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying earlier. I don't know if we expected a whole heap of points, but 10-7, I think that's, I mean, I'm a little surprised. Just 10-7, that being the only offense we've seen. I mean, last year, what was the final? We had both teams in the high 20s, right?
We had that Noonan, I mean, the Noonan, Trey Matthews from Noonan. He had that big kickoff return for a touchdown. We had a lot of big plays in that game. He caught a touchdown pass, I believe, as well.
Garvin going to keep on the 3rd down carry. He has the first down, but there's a flag down on the play.
I remember Alvin Kamara, who we were expecting to play running back, had almost like 200 yards receiving. We thought he was Joe Horn Jr. because
we had a mistake on the roster sheet. Thank you for bringing that.
Yeah.
I'm still angry
we didn't.
that we had that. Yeah, Alvin, a great kid, and of course, again, as we mentioned with Joe and with Ken earlier, who joined us, this ball game's all about the kids, getting them the exposure they deserve. We had a mistake on the roster. I called Alvin Kamara one of the top players in America by the wrong name for a half, it seems.
As did I. I mean,
yeah, we didn't know.
And leave it to me to bring it up again.
You know, they switched jerseys right before the ball game in our defense, but in any case. 3rd and 6 coming up after the penalty on the West All-Stars. But you're right, the point in bringing all that up is that Alvin had a tremendous offensive game last year. Boy, oh boy, was he something. Kind of a coming out party for him.
Right, I was making up for our mistake last year. Giving him credit a year late, but
Garvin still in, under center, waiting for the play clock to run down. Watch Kit, who's at the top, and a flag.
Obviously, this is a if you care about who's winning the game or who's going to win, a huge play, monumental.
Well, hey, let me tell you, you know as well as I do, both of these kids, both of these teams want to win.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can be this good or an athlete at this level and not be competitive.
Oh yeah.
Playing in the backyard and want to win.
That's the way these all-star games always go. You go around for 3 quarters, try not to get hurt, trying to make a big-time play. You don't play dirty. You don't just rock anybody. But, boy, when it comes to 4th quarter, then you turn it up a notch.
Of course, a first down here would close. Well,
yeah, bring it close. 134.
Pretty much ice it, yeah.
134. That's a 3rd down play. Garvin.
He can run for it.
Out to the right, Cole looking, firing, incomplete.
Could have run for it, but I think he saw big number 44, Jeremy Patterson, making a beeline towards him. I don't think he wanted to take even a risk of getting hit by that kid.
So A.J. Wells going to come back out to punt now.
Raekwon McMillan also in on that play, pressuring the quarterback. Haven't heard much from Big Raekwon. Certainly would make the all-name team.
Yeah.
Raekwon McMillan.
Yeah.
I have that theory. I always like to talk about.
That kid can make any team he wants. I'm not going to tell him no.
Don't you think names can sometimes dictate future success?
Sure. Yeah. Joe Montana.
Yeah.
Come on.
Born to succeed. Right?
I mean, how great a name is that?
Scott Janovitz.
I'm sorry, what?
Raekwon McMillan.
Another penalty on the West All-Stars as we're sitting here goofing around. All of a sudden, over the last, 4 out of the last 5 plays, the West All-Stars have had penalties called on them, and it's cost them 15 yards. 3 out of the last 4 plays, pardon me. It's cost them 15 yards. This punt by Wells going to bounce and finally be down at the 42, maybe the 43-yard line. So look, but East All-Stars are within striking distance.
Exactly what I was going to say. A game that's been short on, well, fireworks at all, offensive and defensive. Now we've got a 57-yard field for the best quarterback we've seen in years, I think. Couldn't have a better scenario. A minute 12, let's see what he can do.
And he's got 2 timeouts for that minute 12. And oh, by the way, we are eligible for overtime in this All-Star game. Everyone's agreed to the rules of Georgia high school football overtime, so
free football.
We'll cross that bridge if we get there. A handoff to Williams, makes a move, has a defender on his back who he shakes away from the 50-yard line and the 40, takes on a defender and is pushed out of bounds just shy of the 40-yard line. They'll spot him officially at the 41. Good news, a big gainer. Better news, out of bounds.
Yeah, awesome run there initially, great power. He broke 2 tackles and then picked up an extra 15 yards with that unbelievable plant. He plants that right foot after he breaks this tackle right there and breaks it outside. Good block too from his receiver.
Stanley Williams from George Walton Academy.
Another kid who plays small ball, excelling at what I'd say is a much more competitive atmosphere.
Deshaun with a quick fire hits his wide receiver for a very good gainer. Looks like they may have gotten 8 on the play and did. So all of a sudden they're down inside. Now this is an easy pitch for Watson if they end up throwing one to the end zone, as Williams close to the first down mark, and the East All-Stars going to call a timeout at 34 seconds. Coach Dudley going to walk out onto the field, and watch him, look at him walking out onto the field as though he wants to measure this thing himself, and we got a player down. Oh no.
Surprised they're running as much as they are. 1 minute drill, they've run 2 of the last, or 2 of their only 3 plays.
And look at this, Coach Dudley comes out to check on Josh Brown, the Brookwood running back, and boy, I hate to see that. Josh, a very tough kid who had a lot of carries this year, one of the best players in all of Gwinnett County, another one of the major metropolitan counties. Oh no, Josh got rolled over. Nope. 34.5 seconds. A 2nd and 2 coming up. 33-yard line. The East All-Stars with possession, and they trail 10-7. What do you think? What's a good call here in this situation? You want to roll Deshaun out?
I was going to say, though, it's nice to see him walk off the field. Yeah, well, anything to the sideline. They've run, like I said, 2 of the 3 plays on this drive have been running plays, so they could either run or throw it here. Anything to the sideline that allows you to get out of bounds, maybe a quick bubble screen, or like you said, roll Watson out, give him the option of throwing and running. Of course, he can easily run for a first down, get out of bounds if he's got a guy open, get rid of it.
I'll tell you one thing we haven't seen, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we haven't seen a direct snap to Watson and then Deshaun just simply tucks and goes. Have we seen that?
We've not seen a designed Watson run.
Right. Which he does so much during the regular season. And it's strange that even though teams know it's coming, that's the mark of greatness, isn't it, Scott?
Well,
teams know he's going to do it, and he still is so effective at it.
He's got such a good arm, and he had great receivers led by Caleb Heyman.
But I mean on the design run. On the design run.
What I'm saying is you just don't know what to expect.
So you can't
defense.
Play. Okay, right. Gotcha. Well,
but you're right. He's so good. I mean, you look at his stats, and he threw for over 4,000 yards and rushed for over 1,000. So you don't know how to play him. I mean, he's a true dual threat guy.
5,400 yards of total offense for number 1 under center. Looking. Pump fake. Fires deep. Looking for the lead. Got a man down there in a one-handed grab attempt and incomplete.
Could have easily been called holding there on the defensive back.
Boy, oh boy.
Slowed him up just enough to keep that from a touchdown.
Nick Ruffin, the intended receiver.
Not sure you could throw this ball any better. Definitely holding there. But that's good defense. If you get away from it and prevent a touchdown, doesn't get much better than that. It was number 14, Lance Austin, on the coverage. I think that was about as perfectly thrown a ball as you could have. See there, almost holding hands.
By the way, I've got to admit something here. I failed to reflect the first down on that last play. So this is 2nd and 10 on that carry a moment ago. They did in fact get the first down by Williams. 2nd and 10, 27 seconds. A handoff to Williams, who stopped at the 30.
It's their 4th run on a 1 minute drill. I mean, 1.5 minute drill drive, 4 runs.
So the East now forced to take what I believe will be their final timeout. Now, my only question, and look, far be it for me to question Coach Ed Dudley. He's got over 170, 172 wins in his career in the state of Georgia. But, you know, the only thing about that is I believe they're out of timeouts. Right. And, of course, you want to save that timeout to get into field goal range. Right now,
I think you can question it.
Right now, a 47-yard field goal attempt. And they've got a guy who can knock it through from 47 yards in O'Leary, but
it's one of those plays, though, Chris, where I think as a coach you say, well, the defense knows we're throwing it. Why wouldn't we throw it? We kind of have to throw it. Let's do a delayed draw run.
Right.
And pick up, you know, a big chunk of yards by catching the defense off guard, and we can do it with, oh, by the way, the fastest back in the game. It didn't work out.
Right, yeah, and I understand that thought process. My only thing is if you throw this ball down here and you get a completion, first of all, the problem is if you don't get a first down, well, then you've got to rush to the line of scrimmage and go for it on 4th down. If you do get the first down, you still have to get down to the new line of scrimmage and spike the football in 21 seconds.
And you, as a Georgia fan, know how detrimental the catch inbounds can be.
It's Watson into the end zone. A jump ball that is out of the end zone. Incomplete.
Great catch. Unfortunately, not in the field of play, but heck of a catch.
So it's 4th down now. The intended receiver was, and as you said, Stanton Truitt made the catch, but 4th down coming up.
Well out of bounds. I believe Deshaun Watson would like to have that one back. Give his guy a chance to go up and get it inbounds, because he certainly proved he could go up and get it, Chris.
Well, they're going to put it on Thomas O'Leary.
Best catch of the game, sorry.
The kicker from St. Pius, 8 out of 9 on field goal attempts in 2012 during the Georgia regular season and playoffs. He averaged 35 yards per punt and made 45 of 46 PAT attempts.
Well, you kind of already said it, but this is a kid who's played meaningful football
big time
in big-time games, yeah.
He's no stranger to big-time kicks. This ball, I believe, will be spotted at, what, the 37? So we're looking at a 47-yard field goal attempt.
Boy, that was a heck of a catch, though. That was the best catch of the game, in my opinion.
Sure.
Sure, it really went up and got that ball. Just stole it from the DB.
Well, we're either looking at a West win on a missed field goal, or we're going to overtime. Well, I guess I shouldn't speak so soon. We have 12 seconds left. Even if O'Leary knocks this one through, we'll have a kickoff coming up. But Thomas O'Leary, with the ball spotted at the 37-yard line, the kicker from St. Pius Catholic School, is set. The snap, the ball down, the kick on the way. It looks short, and it is.
Nearly blocked. Great penetration there by about 3 or 4 guys.
I wonder if someone didn't get a piece of it. That had a little bit of lollipop action on it there.
He didn't, yeah, I don't know if he didn't kick it cleanly or if it was tipped, but it definitely, yeah. Yeah, definitely
Yep.
tipped.
Absolutely. Tough to catch the number on whoever got a piece of that one there.
If we see
on
it
the
again,
interior.
I think it was the guy coming off the left edge. Definitely not number 12.
Celebration on the west side. The celebration on the west sideline. Scotty cracking everybody up in the booth, and yours truly as well. Oh boy. Well, if you can tell who tipped that one, Janovitz.
I didn't see it.
Yeah. So it'll turn into a kneel down for Cole Garvin, the Sandy Creek quarterback and the leader of this ball game tonight for the East, or the West All-Stars rather. It'll go as a 10-7 final, and we'll come back very quickly after a very quick break with totals and highlights and our final thoughts of the 2012 Georgia Junior Bowl in a 10-7 West win on ESPN3 and the Play On High School Sports Network.
Third down and 3 for the Indians. Oh, the ball came loose. Tiger's going to pick it up.
Look at that.
Took it back and scored.
Whoa!
That's unbelievable. That is unbelievable.
To buy a DVD of this and many other high school sporting events, go to playonsports.com/DVDs.
Back in Grady Stadium in Atlanta for our final thoughts for the 2012 AT&T Georgia Junior Bowl presented by RisingSeniors.com and what's turned into a 10-7 West Stars win. It was quite a ball game. It was back and forth, not a lot of offense. We had 3 turnovers by the East squad in the ball game. Not a lot of turnovers, or not a lot of penalties, excuse me. Not a lot of big plays. The West All-Stars scored first quarter. Brooks Barden, a 5-yard touchdown pass to Cam Jackson, made it 7-0. The East All-Stars came back on the ensuing drive. Deshaun Watson, a 7-yard touchdown pass to Josh Brown from Brookwood, tied us at 7. No other scoring besides in the third quarter. A 25-yard field goal by A.J. Wells made it 10-7 for the West All-Stars, and that turns out to be our final.
Yeah, a couple things caught my attention. Early quarterback play for both teams was really good. Barden and Watson both led impressive drives. West special teams obviously prevented the game-tying field goal and led to the game-winning field goal with a blocked punt, and then of course the coming out party of Jemias Pittman. Awfully impressive was that kid.
Absolutely, and so with that we will say good day and good afternoon and Happy New Year to all of you out there across the nation. It was a star-studded affair this afternoon at Grady Stadium in Atlanta for the 2012 AT&T Georgia Junior Bowl presented by RisingSeniors.com. For Scott Janovitz and our entire crew, I'm Chris Mooneyham. Thanks for joining us on ESPN3 and the Play On High School Sports Network.